Let's see here. All right, I think we're live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another show on Sunday. Hope you guys are doing well. Don't be shy, say hello. And please let me know if everything is good in terms of the audio on your side, all right? I can see we already have a people watching the show. Great. Welcome aboard. The early risers on Sunday. It's always a pleasure. So today is a really special show. It's the 21st live show already. It's been a lot of fun for me to put on these live shows for you guys. Especially, even if it's early in the morning, I still have a blast doing it. And I'm glad all you guys are joining us again today. I see a lot of familiar faces. Always looking forward to talking to you guys. So first things first, I'll have to say, Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers and wives out there. It's a very important Sunday. We can't forget them. We're always super glad to have them in our lives, and we want to make sure that they get pampered. So don't forget, either before the show or after the show, make sure you tell them you appreciate them. And today I'm very excited to have with me today somebody that you might or might not know, Dr. Guitar, known, and he's a good friend of mine, and I've been watching his channel for quite a while. I want to welcome Budda to the show, and I want to make sure that you can see him here. So let's just pop him up here. There we go. I think you guys can see him there. Let me just see if I can split the screen here. Just getting familiar with the software myself. So if we can't split the screen, it's fine. We'll just do what we can here. So welcome to the show, Budda. I'm really happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to have a guest on the show. And for those of you who don't know, Budda's been doing YouTube videos for quite a while. I have the pleasure of watching his channel, and I'm a big fan because he's one of the YouTubers that I appreciate very much because he goes very deep into the subject matter of tone. And it's super cool to see somebody that really has like the ability to demo gear and guitars and pickups and amplifiers and really like focus primarily on the sound. So if you're looking to really get to the core of the tone sort of mystery, Budda's channel is really the one you want to watch. So welcome aboard, Budda. How is everything in all the way in Portugal today?
It's great, except for the being at home business. But apart from that, it's all good. Beautiful sunny afternoon. So it's 3 p.m. here. But we are great. I took a walk today for the first time in, let me check on my agenda, but I think it's probably the 60, 56, 7, 8, 9. So I'm at home for 60 days exactly.
I know everybody's sort of in the same situation. I'm kind of, I'm not complaining too much because I actually enjoy being home. It gives me an opportunity to make videos. It gives me an opportunity to try out my gear, to play with stuff and not feel guilty because I should be doing other things. So it's not too bad. I'm going to be honest, because otherwise I'd be splitting my time between work and all of the social media stuff. So it gives me a little bit more time to focus on the YouTube stuff. So I'm not complaining. I'm trying to take it as it comes.
Yeah, I'm a professional musician and music producer, so my job is exactly that, and I'm missing being able to be at the studio, to walk through the city. So my studio is like 15 minutes walking from my home, not too far. I live in Braga in Portugal, in the north of Portugal, so it's a small town. But I live in one side of the center, and my studio is in the opposite side. So they are both in the center, but in the limits of the center.
I get it.
So it's 15 minutes to walk. It's a great walk every day. To clear your head. So I usually take that walk when I'm mixing at the studio, when I'm mixing bands or records. I usually get the mix to my iPhone and then put the earplugs and come back home listening to the mixes I do. It gives me a very different perspective.
That's
without
super.
being in front of the studio monitors.
It's amazing to be able to have a studio so close by. Is the studio that you're talking about the room that we're seeing in your on your channel? That's the one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It was actually I had a studio here at home. My first studio was in a little room where I did the last videos, like the Cage System explained video and some other videos, like announcing the Patreon. So it's a red room. It was my studio, but it is so it's a very, very small room, and next to it is my living room. So it was really inside my house. It was impossible with kids at home.
Yeah,
they wanted to watch television, and I was mixing and asking them to be real quiet because I need to focus.
I get it.
Then I moved out to a small compartment we have outside home for a while, and I did some records there. A small room too, but it's in my home, but outside of the home. I need to go outside. It's a small backyard we have there.
Right.
And then there was a building in Portugal we have 3 kinds of police. So we have the urban police, the police that patrols the city, which we call it PSP, like PlayStation Portable, because it means police of public security. It's kind of. Then we have the countryside police, which are GNR.
Yeah.
They are the ones that ride horses. They are more military, and they are the ones that take care of fires, and they patrol the mountains, the small village. And then we have the kind of our FBI, which are the ones that take care of big crimes like financial crimes and big investigations.
Okay.
So the GNR, so the countryside police, had a headquarters here in town, and they changed headquarters. So the mayor bought their building, the main headquarters, and transformed it into cultural startup business, like new enterprises, new ideas, multi-art media and something, and open the vacancy for a lot of people. So I have my studio there, and my studio is actually where the cells were.
Ah.
So my studio is the prison.
It's like the dungeon. The dungeon.
Yeah, kind of like, it's transformed, of course, and it was a dungeon it was a cell, like if you were caught driving drunk or small
Yeah.
crimes, very small crimes. So you had to spend the night in jail, or if you are going to court and you need
that's too cool.
Waiting for so I still hear their screams.
That's funny. But you know what? When I was watching your channel and I was looking at the room, I'm like, yeah, it looks it almost looks like a castle, like a room that would be in a castle with the stones and everything.
Yeah, because you only see the stone wall.
Yeah.
Then there's a wooden wall.
So is there still like bars on the door?
No, not anymore.
Because that would be good. It would protect your gear, right?
Yeah. I think you see an arch behind me sometimes.
Yeah.
So that arch was the main entrance to the dungeon.
That's cool. That's too cool. That's good. So I guess the walls are thick enough to keep the sound from bothering anybody in there. That's going to be a good thing to have.
Yeah, and the walls are super thick. That's why I picked up that room. So it's inside the building, away from the road.
Yeah.
Because it's really in the center, so you can imagine traffic is an issue for a studio.
Sure.
So it's really, 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 really in the center of the city. So there's a lot of buses, cars, people going. But my studio is dead quiet. The walls are like I don't know, in in your measurements, but in meters they are 1.5 meter
Wow.
thick. So
That's a couple of feet. Yeah, that's pretty thick. Well, that's cool.
and they are stone walls,
Yeah.
so very thick walls, very well isolated.
Really cool. Well, I know that in case people don't know, I'm just going to bring them up to date. So Budda is also not only does he have his channel, he's a talented guitar player. He also has a great band called Budda Power Blues Band, and I checked out a couple of your live performances there. I got to say, you guys really can belt out the blues. I didn't know that you're also a very good singer.
Oh, thank you.
The
I'm actually thinking about singing more in the channel, because my YouTube channel is actually about all that I am being shared with my viewers and with anyone who cares to watch. So I started the channel because I grew a lot watching other people's channel. Like Pensado's Place was one of my first ones, which is a producing oriented channel, producers mixer oriented channel. That Pedal Show, which is also a standard
show.
Yeah. Those are probably my two main ones. I'm really enjoying seeing Tom Bukovac. I've seen his channel like with 600 people. Now he passed us in subscribers, like way beyond us. So
Yeah.
I don't even know where he's at, but I love his playing, and I really like what he shares, and it really inspires me to play in a different way. That Pedal Show really made me spend a lot of money in pedals, but I've been following Mick since Guitarist Day. So he was a Guitarist editor, and I signed Guitarist magazine. So I bought my transatlantic because of him. I got my Nags deals because of him. Because he really, and that was the thing that made me start the channel. So a lot of people, when they do reviews or when they play something, when they do videos, they show off too much. I think they are not making the videos for other people. They are showing off. Like, hear how I play so great. And you can't know nothing about the product if the guy's playing really great, because any great player will get great tones out of anything.
That's absolutely true. One thing that I gotta say is exactly that. Whenever you look at, we all watch other people's videos because we're looking for gear. I do it all the time. I want to, if I'm curious about a specific guitar or amplifier, I'm gonna do my research and try and see, who's demoing the gear the best way. And a lot of times, I totally agree with you. You see these guys, with a full production, backing tracks, everything, studio mix, and it's almost impossible to tell what the instrument will sound like.
Yeah,
with that.
It depends on what. So my channel's goal is not to promote myself. It's not to show off what I can play or what I can't. It's to try to convey some ideas, to try to inspire other people that are in the music business, or they are just really music lovers. So
yeah,
I have a kind of philosophy that accompanies me in life. I think it's kind of the karma thing. So I think we are responsible for paying back what was given to us, and to try to make the world a better place in a small increment. So I'm not hoping to change United States foreign policy. I'm not going for those big goals, but at least try to change to include small changes in some people's life, such as my son. It's what I do. I try to educate my son so he's a better person, and so he passes better things to the world. And I think we can do it in small increments, and if there's enough people doing it, and if you inspire someone else to do it, you're increasing the spreadness. So I'm a musician. I love music. I breathe and sleep and wake up to music, the thinking about music. That's all I do since I'm 14. There's actually a Blue Power Blues song, which is called Blues is Air I Breathe, that talks about it, where I come from, and music is air I breathe. It's like, it's the thing that keeps me moving, that keeps me waking up every day. It's the thing I love the most. So trying to do the channel and bringing more people into respecting music as an art form, as a way of living, almost as a religion. It's almost that feeling without being. The thing I hate about religion is that they are very radical, very focused on one thing, and music is exactly the opposite. So there's a right thing for everyone. A guitar. So I'm not a Vox AC30 guy, for example, but I love other people that play Vox AC30. I love to hear Tom Petty and Schofield, and they all play through Vox AC30. They can get a great tone out of it. I can't. It's kind of, I try to plug into it, and it never satisfies me. I'm more a guy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean Vox AC30 is a bad amp.
No.
It doesn't mean that at all.
That's right.
It just means it's not the thing for me.
Not for you specifically. I totally get it. And I agree with what you're saying about that. I mean, really, music is a passion, right? Either you love it or you don't. To me, I've always had that passion. I'm addicted to gear. I love gear. I look forward to trying new things. Unfortunately, I do spend a little bit too much time putzing around with the gear where I should be playing and practicing more. But that's a problem that I got to deal with. I think you're also in the same scenario, but you play a lot more than I do. But I think you're also addicted to gear, because I saw a lot of the gear that you've had over time on your channel, and I can see that you have a great taste in amplifiers, in guitars, and pedals.
So as I told you, I'm a musician. First and mainly, I'm a musician. Then secondly, I'm a producer and sound engineer. And then thirdly, I'm becoming to understand that I'm a YouTuber, although I don't really like the word. Because it usually reminds me of those goofy guys that stand on, that drink 3 gallons of milk in a row.
I don't know.
YouTuber.
Yeah, but I think there's YouTubers that bring a lot of value, and there's YouTubers that are just out to get the clicks and looking for the whatever's gonna get them views, regardless. The stupidest things. So I don't put you in that category at all.
No, neither do I. So the thing I try to do is to inspire people to listen better, to have better taste, to be inspired, to do something else with their life. So if you are, I don't give up. I don't give a shit about people that have. We talked about it last time we talked through Skype. I don't care if a lawyer or a doctor has a custom shop Les Paul that costs $15,000. I don't care if he's into it, if it gives him pleasure, if he's happy with it. I'm happy for him, even if it plays like crap. I don't really care, because it's not a competition. It's not checking out who plays better than who, and it's not like, he has that very expensive guitar and I can't afford it, but I play way better than him, so I should have that guitar. I couldn't have that guitar because I can't afford it, and that guitar wasn't made for me. It was made for him.
Yeah, I get it.
Guys like him. So I have my Jimmy Page Mirror Telecaster, the special anniversary edition Fender did last year to commemorate Led Zeppelin's 60th anniversary of their first record. I'm a huge Zeppelin fan.
Same here.
Yeah, and I have a great Telecaster, a Butterscotch Blonde 52, which is incredible. And I needed kind of a second one for live playing. So whenever I'm playing live, I need a spare guitar. And I was looking, I don't like to have doubled gear because I don't have that amount of money. So I cannot have two exactly the same guitars. So I like to have kind of in the same realm.
Yeah.
They can be replaced. They can replace each other's. but they are a little different. So if I need to overdub guitars and I want two teles, I record the first take with a 52 tele, and then the other with the Jimmy Page tele.
Yeah, I get it. I'm the same way. I'll have multiple strats, multiple Telecasters, and different things, but they're all a little bit different. In terms of sound, pickups, what they can do, feel.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make sense for me to have multiples of the same guitar. If a guitar is very similar, I'll often change the pickups in one to give it a little bit of a different tone so that it covers different ground. Because otherwise, you know, it's just you're basically, you have money tied up in gear that is not really going to be useful for you. So let me take a minute here to go through some of the questions that have been going by, because I think there's a few people here that have questions for you and me as well. And so we see if I'll put them on the screen so you can see them.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. I have the chat to my right, so...
Okay, you see them. Great. All right, good. So let me just go through a couple of them. I saw a couple of questions coming in, and one person had a question for you. Let me just go back to it here and see if I can find it. Yeah, so here we have one from... let's see if I can put this online here. Okay, the question here is, how did you get into production, and what's your background in production?
Yeah, I got into production out of frustration. So I was a musician. I went to the studio, and I thought the sound engineer was a magic guy that could reproduce any sound that was in my head and make it into a record. So I got there with my one amplifier and my one guitar, and I thought with that I could record any tone and don't care about it, and then the sound engineer would do his magic and it will become the tone that I had in my head. It didn't happen. So I went to my first record in a big fancy studio, didn't sound the way I like it to sound, but I also didn't know what to do. I didn't really know what I wanted to. So I knew I didn't like the sound, but I didn't know why. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know exactly what I wanted. So I started practicing and investigating on my own, like, what do I want? How do I get that sound that I have in my head to be in the record? And do I need to go to a very expensive American studio to have that sound? Or can I get it anywhere? Right. For a long time, I thought I needed to be in a very expensive room with very expensive gear, with a very expensive sound engineer, and to play way better. But it's not true. So I started investigating and recording my own bands. And then out of frustration, we got our first deal with my first record deal was with Universal Music. Big deal, big money. We went to a studio, and then nothing happened. The record came out. They treated us like garbage, and they released the single, and the single was #1 in national radio for 3 months, and they didn't release the record. And we were like waiting, and then they released the record 1 year later, and nothing happens, of course. The band split up because we couldn't hold on to the expectations. So I started kind of being annoyed with that issue. The radios didn't and still don't support artistic music. So I was a little annoyed with all of that. So I took things on my own hands. And the YouTube channel is also another arm of that enterprise. So we created our own record label, Moby Dick Records, inspired by Led Zeppelin's Moby Dick.
It's a good name. I like it. I approve.
So it's a nano record label from musicians to musicians by musicians. So we have some artists, and we are only focused on the music quality. Every record from the label is produced by me, so kind of in a Motown Stax kind of thinking. So we have a kind of the same tone into the record label without being the same genre, because we have funk bands, R&B, rockabilly, blues rock, bossa nova, Brazilian music. So we have a lot of genres, but there's a concept behind all of that, and that's my production and my thinking process about it.
Yeah,
So
sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
that's exactly how I went with it. So I started with a Fostex 4-track cassette, multi-track.
I had one too. The ones that you had to flip over the cassettes to get the second 2 tracks. Do you remember that?
I had a gray one.
Yeah, it was like a small one, but you could only record 2 tracks on one side of the cassette, and then you had to flip over the second 2 tracks will record on the other side of the cassette.
No, mine would read the 4 tracks in the same cassette in the same placement.
Okay.
But I had that one, then I expanded to a Roland VS 1608. I think it's a 16 digital workstation, so a studio, but with very poor or almost unexisting editing possibilities. And then on 2004, I got into Pro Tools and bought my first Mac, and I've been a Pro Tools user since then. I'm rethinking the thing, trying to go to Luna because I'm a Universal Audio user. So I'm still waiting for Luna to get a little better, but
okay. So you're not into Logic at all. You prefer Pro Tools.
I've been a Pro Tools user. I know it inside out. I'm very fast at editing and all the things. That's why I'm still taking some time to move towards Luna, because it takes a while to get the software. It takes a while. I just learned how to work in Final Cut, and it took me a while because I was working on iMovie, but Final Cut has a lot more options. Fortunately, it's similar enough. It's kind of an expansion.
Yeah, it has overlap. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So fortunately, it was not that big of a change.
Of a jump.
But I'm trying to. So I'm hoping if I'm staying home a little more, I will probably have more time to go to Luna, because I have less work in the studio and I can afford to lose some time learning the software.
So
mainly it's always like a side-by-side evolution. So I'm becoming a better musician because I'm becoming a better producer, and I'm becoming a better producer because I'm becoming a better musician every time. And each side of the
equation
helps the other one.
That's right.
So the more I understand tone, the more I understand what my guitar tone should be in a band.
That's right.
And not having a great guitar tone on its own, but that doesn't fit the band tone.
I agree.
In Budda Power Blues, for example, we changed bass players 3 times now. So we are playing with we are a 15-year-old band. We played with a guy for the first 10 years, then he quit. We had a replacement in between, so 1 year, and then we have Carl Miniman playing with us from 4 years now. And the thing, when the bass players changed, so the first bass player was the original bass player, so we had a tone that fit the band perfectly. When we changed bass players, we struggled a lot, because in a power trio, the bass needs to be in a certain spot. Otherwise, it's not doing its job. And both of these 2 newer bass players had a thick, very bottom-ending tone, which in a power trio is not helpful.
Right.
You have the guitar here, and then the bass is beneath the kick drum, and you have a whole emptiness in between the guitar and the kick drum. So the bass needs to be higher, like in Zeppelin's recording again.
Always refer to the masters, right?
Yeah, it's that rock and roll needs not a very bottom-ending bass.
Yeah.
Needs a mid-range. It's almost another guitar,
right?
But doing different stuff and
Right.
less distorted usually.
Right.
So it took us a while to get there. And with Carl, is a very deep. He plays a precision, and he rolls off the tone completely. So it was very subby bass, and it was really hard to fit him in the mix, really, really hard. Then he understood it, and we talked about it, and we worked on his tone, and he worked on his tone to meet us halfway. So he's still a deep, low-endy bass player, but he's now way more in the mid-range size. He bought some drive pedals that he uses really gentle, like the baseball, the Big Muff, the bass Big Muff, and then there's another one, Soul Food, bass Soul Food.
Yeah, Soul Food, yeah.
Electro harmonics.
Yeah.
So using it not as a distortion, you don't hear the distortion, but he's using it as a character changing. So we always make fun of him because we say he uses phantom pedals. Turns them on and off, and you don't know anything. He uses it all in the minimum setting, but actually it does a thing. It's very subtle, but it changes the place that the bass is. So, for example, if we are playing a riff and a song, I'm singing, then I take a solo. I leave the rhythm guitar. There's no rhythm guitar anymore. So he jumps in for the bass Soul Food, for example, or for the Big Muff, bass Big Muff, because it gives it a little more drive and a little more volume. So it fills out the space that my rhythm guitar left open, and he supports my solo. So it's a tiny and subtle thing, but very important. And you learn that by producing and by recording, by facing problems like, why isn't this song working? It's not working because there's not enough space or there's too much space. So it's always that. A joke everyone does. No one talks about the great bass tone in Kashmir. There's no bass in Kashmir. That's why the drums sound so big and why the guitar sounds so big, because there's no bass filling. Right. So the guitar has that space. The drums have that space.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. It's that's the type of thing that you really have to struggle with to try and resolve. And bands that are playing live, oftentimes they try and resolve it with volume. And that's like probably the worst thing that you can do. You know, you have a bass that just is taking too much space in the mix. So what ends up happening, the guitarists put the volume louder on the guitar to try and, be heard, where instead of trying to look for the frequencies that fit so that there's space enough for everybody, people don't realize that. And it's always a challenge.
I usually say my instrument is band. I play band.
That's true.
That's what I play. Yeah. I don't play guitar.
Yeah.
I play band. I play within a band context, which is very different than playing guitar. So I'm not a great guitarist by myself. I never played by myself. I was never the guy that was playing songs in the school yard or something.
Yeah.
I always played within a band context, and I always figured I was always a team player. I was never a solo artist. I was always
part of a group.
Play part of a group, and I love to lock in a groove, to lock with the drummer, to be a part of something, and I'm not the guy that is playing by itself. And if the singer skips the chorus, I go to the chorus nonetheless. If she's not singing the chorus, I wait.
Yeah.
Until she gets to the chorus. I'm playing with her. I'm not playing against her.
Exactly.
We're trying to move together, and that's what makes me really passionate about band playing and about producing, because it's the same thing. When you produce, you are another band member for a little amount of time. So for that, while we are recording and mixing, I'm a band member, and then they move on. And I keep on doing my life.
That's really when you have a good band situation, when you can do stuff like that, where even if somebody makes a mistake, even if somebody forgets a verse, or you jump to another section of the song, it doesn't matter. But everybody's sort of in tune, and they're able to move and improvise enough so that it just becomes part of the performance, and it's not like a stumbling block, or that everybody's going to stop and look at the guy, and the show basically comes to a stop. That's not a good thing to do. So that's super important. Well, I had another question for you here. Somebody was asking, what do you use in a live scenario? What gear do you use?
So I play in three different bands. So I use 3 different sets of gear. As a segue of what I was saying, I play bands, so it's not interesting for me to play in a different band with the same gear if that gear doesn't suit the band. So in Trio Pagu, for example, which is a Brazilian bossa nova MPB Brazilian music band with my wife singing, a Brazilian singer. So it's kind of world music, jazzy, bossa nova, in that realm. I play hollow body guitars. I play my Line 6 M13 effects unit for some special things and for looping. I have a bass, a Boss octave pedal that gives me the bass, the fake bass player. And I have a Super Ego or a Freeze pedal for some textures that I use sometimes. And I mainly play rhythm with some effects or some tremolos, some reverbs, delays, very minimalistic approach. And I play rhythm, but I need a guitar with thick strings, flat bound strings, because the playing is very syncopated and very fast in the right hand. If you have soft strings, if I play like in a Strat with 9-gauge strings, the strings are not in place when I'm hitting for the second time.
Okay.
So they are too rubbery, and they don't give me the feel. So it's very hard to play it. I need very stable strings. I don't do bands. I need very rigid action, and very low action too, because I'm playing with my fingers gently.
Okay.
If I play in Budda, and I use almost any good clean amp, can be the Transatlantic. It can be, probably I will be using the Deluxe Reverb Tone Master, which is my newest amp.
The Tone Master. Tell me a little bit about the Tone Master, because I know that you're a big fan of the Mesa Boogie. I see that you have quite a few, and you've tried a few over the course of your videos. And I've also experimented with Mesa quite a bit, but slowly I'm starting to realize that I'm not a Mesa Boogie guy. I started using a Mark III. That was the first one that I got, and it was just too powerful, that thing. It was like, and I assumed that it was going to be smooth because I associated the Mark III with Santana. Actually, even though he uses a Mark I, but it's actually very aggressive. It had a very aggressive drive, and it had, I don't know if you ever tried it, but there's the push-pull knobs, different channel scenarios depending on which knobs you pull out, which knobs you push in, and it had the 5-band EQ. It weighed a ton. It had the Black Shadow speaker in it, which was like super loud. That thing was incredibly loud. But I realized, I kept it for a while, and I realized it was just too aggressive for what I wanted. And I tried over the years, like I tried the Stiletto, I tried the what else did I try? The Stiletto. Recently I had the Triple Crown. What else did I have from the Electrodyne, which actually was one of my favorites because it was the simplest version of the Mesa Boogies. But I haven't tried the newer ones, like the last ones that they came out with, which are more like Fendery sounding. I haven't tried them, but
no, I've tried them. The thing is, I have a friend that says a word that really resumes what tone searching is. You need to like the manufacturer list hears. So every brand has some focus, some kind of focus. So Fender amps, although they are all different, they have a thing.
Yep.
So if you like Fender tone, you will probably like any Fender amp. You will favor one to. So for example, I don't really like the Twin Reverb, but I can get along with the Twin Reverb if I have the pedals. But it's not worlds apart from the Deluxe Reverb. It's just a little different, and a little way more headroom, way more powerful, way more heavier. But it's still a Fender. Even the Bassman, which is a Tweed, it's still a Fender.
Yeah.
So if you like Marshall amps, you're in another world. If you like Vox amps, you're in another world. Right. So you need to like the manufacturer hears.
Yeah, they're all tuned to a different, let's say, frequency spectrum kind of thing.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
looking for something.
that's right.
So Mesa Boogies are usually heavier gain amps,
Yeah.
although they are not new metal amps. They are not all rectifiers.
No, that's right.
I have the Lone Star, which is probably my desert island amp, because it can do anything.
Sorry, which one?
The Lone Star.
Yeah, the Lone Star is probably one of their best, I think. I've had one too.
It's my desert island amp.
Yeah,
Because you can do anything with that amp, with guitar and amp.
yeah,
The reverb is insane.
yeah,
The clean tones are incredible. The dirty tones are incredible. The crunchiness on the clean, the channels are almost identical. So you have almost the same channel twice.
that's right. You can.
Which is what they did with the Fillmore.
That's right.
The newest Fillmore. But Mesa Boogies to me are always made to sound good at a certain amount of gain, except the Lone Star. And you need to push the gain into into a certain spectrum so the amp reacts correctly.
Yeah,
But usually that's too much gain for me.
I agree.
So when the amp is working properly, it's too much gain. I would love that amp with less gain,
Yeah,
with less overdrive. And that's what I didn't like about the Fillmores. They sound killer, but you need to put the gain, the drive settings are too drivey for me. I like really gentle overdrive, not big overdrive.
Yeah,
they are a little heavy
Yeah.
and they are expensive.
yeah, exactly. You said it. The thing with the even the Fillmore, I find that when you compare that particular amp to some good Fender amps, you get pretty close, and at the same time, you know, Fender gives you more of that clean platform. So if you want to get into that specific drive, you can do it with pedals. And at the end of the day, you're probably going to have a nicer, fuller tone, and you're not going to sacrifice the saturation of the gain channel, ruining your, let's say, the clean or the punchiness of the sound. So, you know, that's one of the things I was looking at. When the Fillmore came out, I was looking at it pretty close, because I'm like, wow, this is like, now they're getting into Fender territory. And because, you know, my experience with other combo amps that they had was relatively good, I figured, okay, maybe now this time you'll be able to get like the spanky cleans and still retain the bottom end. But they're still trying, I think, yeah, it's the drive channel that they're still, I guess, you know, it's always going to be that American sound, right? But it's going to be.
I have a great relationship. I'm endorsed by Mesa Boogie and Supro, so I have a great relationship with those guys. And I asked them to send me both Fillmore 25 and Fillmore 50, so I could do an episode, but mainly so I could try both and figure out which one I wanted.
Yeah.
I was sure I would want one or the other. I was just not. I was aiming for the 25 because it's smaller. I love the shape. It's a square. It almost reminds me of the Mark I that Santana uses. So it goes back to the Mesa Boogie's origins. The clean tone is great. I love the clean tone. The drives are not that great, and it doesn't play that loud.
Yeah.
Clean.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that loud clean that I was looking for.
Yeah.
Then I did a video comparing my Blues Junior with the Fillmore 25. And I was like, okay, the Fillmore is a little better, but it's just a little, and it costs like 6 times more than the Blues Junior. So it's not the thing for me. And I was not looking for the best amp in the world. I have it already.
Did you?
I was looking for an amp that I organized a jam session. Well, now I don't, but I hope I restart it when this is all over. But I organize a jam session every Wednesday night in a local club where we play. But I am always on stage, and there are musicians coming in, and it's a blues jam session. We play together, and my job there is to make it sound like a show and not like an eternal E minor jam, E minor pentatonic.
I know what you're saying, man. I know what you're saying. But getting back to the amps, it's funny because...
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to clear that. And I wanted an amp for those situations. So when I carry guitar amp, or if someone invites me for to play 2 songs in a show, it happens a lot. Like friends of mine that come to play in my hometown, and they invite me to play as a guest, one song or two songs. I need a simple amp that I can carry, a light amp. I'm not playing a whole show. I'm not playing. I'm playing as a guest, so I'm probably playing a solo or something simple. So I wanted an amp like that I could carry and that delivered, that had headroom enough, but that compressed enough that I could overdrive the amp in a good way, in a bluesy way. It's what I use for. And then I tried the Deluxe Tone Master, and my jaws were like, I couldn't believe it, because I'm a tube guy amp. I'm a tube amp guy, so I was like, this is digital. This shouldn't sound like
it doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute in your brain.
I'm probably being mistaken here.
So you know what? I haven't had the pleasure to actually try the Tone Master, but a lot of people have claimed that it sounds great. Although the YouTube videos that I've seen of the Tone Master didn't really do them justice. Maybe it's the way they were recorded, I don't know. So I haven't had a chance to try it. But I'm curious, because a lot of people are claiming to like these particular amps. And I'm like, wow, if people do like the amps and the transistor like that and they sound as good as people say, I got to check them out, you know?
I think if you get a Helix, a Line 6 Helix, it has like 1,000 amps, 200,000 cabinets, mics, etc., and they cost the same as the Blues Deluxe Tone Master. So I think Fender took all that money into making it a clone of a specific amp and cabinet. It's not
it's not everything. It's just one.
Lot of
right.
It's deluxe reverb in its core. It works like a deluxe reverb, with the exception that it has power amp attenuator that I don't like, and it has a cabinet, an emulated cabinet out, which is great. I played with it. My last show was in beginning of March. I played with it in a club with Buddha Power Blues, and I took it to test it, and it was I told the guy, we played that club for 15 years, so he knows us. He has seen more. We play there twice a month, Friday and Saturday, every month for 15 years. So he has seen his share of our shows. And I told him, let's use the amps line out. It has a great line out. Let's test it if it works great in a live situation. And the guy was like, seriously? Have you converted yourself?
What's going on? What's happening?
No. Oh, it's one of those things. And he plugged it in and it was like, man, this sounds
really,
better than a 7.
How much does that amp cost?
In euros, 880 euros.
Okay, so it's still like a $1,000 amp, let's say.
It's the Blues Deluxe, or the Hot Rod Deluxe.
So it's converted you enough to consider using that most of the time, or do you still really? Eh?
It's my.
That's crazy, man. I gotta try it out then.
I only play a different amp when I play stereo.
Okay.
And keeping on answering the question, when I play Buddha Power Blues, I play 2 Supro amps. Play the Tremo Vert and a Thunderbolt. And I have a big pedal board, a Pedal Train Pro, with stereo effects like Leslie, delays, reverbs, which makes it an incredible experience to play. And the Supro amps
they're very good.
Unbeatable.
Yeah, I've had a Supro amp. I've had one myself. Not the Black Magic. I was looking. Actually, the Black Magic came out after I bought the Supro amp that I had, and obviously I bought it because I was interested in that Jimmy Page tone, right?
So you need to have the Black Magic.
Yeah, exactly.
That Jimmy Page tone. I had one. I sold it, but I had one.
Yeah. But at the end, a great amplifier. I liked it a lot, and but again,
which one did you have?
I had the 64 not the reissue, the the smaller one. Oh shit, I forgot. I'm getting a brain fart here. Hold on, I'm gonna find the model. It was one channel. Well, actually 2 channels with It's hold on a second. I'm looking at their. I totally drew a blank here. Sorry.
Is it a Statesman?
No. It's the actual the Supro. I'm gonna get you the model. 1 second here. I'm on their website. I totally drew a blank because now they have a lot more models than they used to have, which is really interesting to me. Because they have like the Black Magic, and they have the head now. They have all the different versions of the amps that when I bought it, they didn't have it. Hold on. I actually sold that amp. I shouldn't have though.
I sold my Black Magic because I already have the Tremoverb, which is a 10-inch speaker, and it is my favorite recording amp. It's incredible, just incredible. Everything sounds good. A little dark, but everything sounds good. Well, it's so dark that I have the bass all at 0 and the treble all at max, and it's still a dark amp. But it records beautifully. It's a great amp. It doesn't play that loud, which is great for studio. It's loud enough, but not super loud.
That's one of the main reasons why I got it was because it wasn't super loud. The guy who convinced me to get it was JD Simo. I don't know if you follow him.
Yeah, great guy.
Great player, and he had demoed it on a video.
But he's one of those guys. Everything he plays sounds good, so it's not very enlightening.
Yeah, he's got great tone in his fingers. That guy, I totally agree with you. But still,
that's why I like Mick from That Pedal Show.
Yeah.
Not even Dan has a great tone also, but he has his own tone. Everything sounds like Dan when he plays, and everything that Mick plays sounds exactly like if I buy a pedal that I've seen him reviewing it or playing through it. When I get it, it's exactly the idea that I have of that pedal. So he has made me buy a lot of gear, believe me.
You know who you have to be careful with is Danish Pete from Andertons. I don't know if you watch the Andertons channel.
I don't really like the Andertons channel. They are too goofy for me.
Well, they're obviously trying to sell gear, right? I mean, the whole point is that they have a store and they want to promote what they have. But one of the guys that I really do respect as a player, Danish Pete, he can really play well. He really plays super well. The thing is, you have to be careful because everything he plays also sounds good. And at the end, I purchased some stuff because of what he's reviewed, and it didn't work for me. And it was like, okay.
There's a lot of guys like that. Like Mike Hermans has a great YouTube channel too, but he always demos pedals within a song context, and he always sounds good because he plays really good.
Yeah.
So it doesn't show the product; it shows he plays really good.
Yeah.
The Ronquillo, something Ronquillo. I don't know his name. He's a Philippine guy, but is in Nashville.
Okay.
Is also a great player, but everything sounds good. So Pete Thorne is the same thing. Everything he plays sounds like him. So I think when you do a video on something, I try to be as transparent as possible. It's impossible to be transparent.
Yeah.
Because I have my own chops but I try to overplay and to showcase the product. Although I'm not actually a reviewer, I don't do reviews like this is a pedal, this is what this knob does. I try to always inspire people to use that or another pedal or guitar.
You're more searching for tone as opposed to just like the gear. And that's what I get from your reviews. Yeah.
It's more of a concept and less of this exact pedal is great because it depends on how you play
and what you use it for. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And for example, I just did some videos about some overdrives, and I was using my Gen Ray here at home with the Blues Junior and the Transatlantic, and it was super bright at the settings I use it live. It was not even close to what I get live because I'm playing through my Supros that are dark amps.
Right.
So I had to tame the treble.
Yeah.
I had to readjust it to this. So that's the important thing. It's not the gear itself. It's like, what do you want from a new pedal?
Yeah.
And
The thing with the Supros that's the reason why I sold mine, I find, is that Supro is, you have that Supro sound. It's kind of like, if you're into that sound, it's great. It's sounds super, but it's, if you're trying to get, let's say, more of a Fender sound out of a Supro, you gotta tweak it a lot to get that sound. So
and you never get it.
it's never gonna be the same. The tubes are different. Speakers are different, everything.
Different, yeah.
The one I have now, it came back to me. It's the Supro 1624T. That's the one that I ended up buying, and it was an early release. It's like as soon as they reissued the Supros, I bought it. Now they have a lot more selection. The Black Magic seemed killer, and I was actually looking at a fellow on the internet that actually makes. I don't know if he worked with them, but he was a builder that would build amps for himself. Black Magic Amps, it was called. And it was basically, he was basically recreating the Supro sound of the Jimmy Page amp, but he was a private builder. And he wasn't building for anyone. You had to place your order, and he would build one at a time. And those amps sounded amazing. They weren't cheap, but they sounded amazing. And he had like a guy playing in his garage, just playing the amplifiers. They blew me away. And I wanted to buy one, but at the time he didn't ship to Canada.
Oh, okay.
But if you go on YouTube and you check out Black Magic Amp, you'll see them there. And when Supro re-released the Black Magic, I go, maybe they got together with this guy, because it's coincidence that they're calling it exactly the same name, same type of amplifier. And I was wondering if he maybe had something to do with their that particular model,
Yeah, I really like Supros, and even the band. When I was playing with Mesa Boogie for a long time, like the T30 or the Lone Star, but the Lone Star is super heavy, super heavy.
Yeah, you need a roadie with the Lone Star. You have to.
Yeah, it's kind of a bump. You start. I play 3 times a week at least.
Yeah.
So carrying it 3 times a week, it makes you think.
Yeah.
That's why the deluxe reverb is so appealing, because it's lighter than the guitar. So if you take a guitar and the amp, one in each hand, the guitar is heavier. So you can imagine how tempting.
Yeah. But that's
how tempting it's lighter than the Blues Junior.
That's refreshing to see. My Mesa Boogie Electrodyne head, just the head, was 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Just the head. Killer amplifier, by the way. If you ever have an,
they are really, really well built. So the Mesa Boogie thing is that they use the EQ section of the amp is more a gain section than an EQ section.
Right.
So it's the gain you give to each frequency, to each region of frequencies. So that's very powerful. If you want the amp to compress a little more, you just give it a little more bass.
That's right.
And the amp starts to be, it inflates at a lower volume.
Yeah.
So they are very powerful, but you need to understand that you need to have that mindset to take advantage of a Mesa Boogie amp.
Absolutely.
And then you also need to be able to forget that there's 1 million options, because you can not use it.
Look, the last one I purchased, I really wanted to love it. And I don't want this to become a Mesa Boogie show, but I bought the Triple Crown, and again, when it came out, it had 3 individual channels: clean, mid-drive, and gain. And I go like, if they do the gain thing right, that could be a replacement for my Marshall. And if there's the good clean channel, that could be a replacement for one of my Fender amps. And I was looking at it that way, but in reality, the gain on it was actually more gain than you actually need. So it had like plenty of gain, but it also became a little bit too fizzy. It wasn't like, I guess because it doesn't have it has master volumes on all of the gain stages. So it's not like a true Marshall circuit where there's no master volume and you have to really drive the amp. It can't work that way. Still a great amplifier. I'm sure it's somebody's loving it right now. I sold it, but I couldn't get exactly the sound I wanted from it, and unfortunately, I'm using multiple amps. That's the only way I can do it. The Friedman there that I have there, the Dirty Shirley, it's a crazy amp. I love
yeah.
that. I love that
That's
amplifier.
one of the amps I would really love to play. Friedman is doing a really great thing on amps.
Amazing. I mean, he's the man. He really is. He's knocking it
Yeah.
out of the park. Every amp
They
he
are
comes out with,
They are great looking amps too. So
but he's got good ears. Like they're tuned
Yeah.
well. Like every amplifier does what it's supposed to do very well, and there's nothing.
And you can actually tell that that's a thing I really like. For example, I love about PRS guitars. For example, you're buying the guitar, or in this case the amp, from the builder,
Yeah,
not from a brand that has nothing to do with
right.
its own creator. So
that's right.
Dave Friedman is behind every amp,
Yeah.
so you really get his personality
Yeah,
in each amp. So they are all different, but they have that thing in common. They all sound like Friedmans.
yeah,
And if you like that, it's a great thing.
yep. Yeah.
They sound very musical to me. I recorded a band, I produced and mixed and recorded a band, German band called Grey Marade, great stoner, stone metal band. And the guy had 2 Friedmans. But, well, the guy has incredible, is one of my good friends, and he has incredible gear. Lots of Les Pauls. He mainly plays Les Pauls, tuned down to C sharp. He has Friedmans, rectifiers, and an incredible collection. But the Friedmans were sounding like unbelievable. He has the Jerry Cantrell.
That's a great amp.
Signal.
That's a great amp.
And I'm not sure if he has the Dirty Shirley or something. He has one with a gold thing in it. I'm not sure. He also has combo.
Okay. The gold one, I don't know if it's the small ones, but they have the runt now. They have the well, obviously the brown eye. They have that one there. The only thing about Friedman amps is that you have to sell a kidney or 2 kidneys to buy them. They're just too expensive. But
Yeah, and I'm more. I like to have good gear, and I have a lot of great gear, but I never paid its street price for it.
oh, me too.
I either got a great deal or bought it secondhand, or I have a partnership with a brand or something. So, for example, when I started getting into the world of recording and producing, I realized by watching other producers, other great producers I met along the way, that great gear makes great recordings. So, and great gear is not mic pre's or tape machines. The sound starts in the sound source.
True.
So if you want an AC30 tone, the best way to get that tone is to have an AC30.
That's right.
So I started looking into that thing that doesn't cost a kidney. Like, for example, if you buy a Neumann EU47, it costs $30,000.
That's right.
And it won't make your singer sing better or worse.
Sometimes worse because you hear too much of the nuances. Yeah, that's right.
But with the right guitar amp,
Yeah.
you might spend like 700
Right.
euros or 70. So, for example, my AC30 is a 66 AC30. I bought it for 750 euros. It's not expensive.
That's right.
It's a price for a Blues Deluxe or something like that. I bought the Vox Lead 125 for the same 650 euros. I bought the Marshall Super Bass for 750. The Master Lead, I bought it for 250 with a cabinet with a 2x12. The Bassman 100, I bought it for 750. So I always aim for that price below the 1,000 euros.
Yeah, me too.
But it's a tool that sometimes I have musicians in the studio. I have a bass player, so my Bassman 100, it's always the bass player joy. Is like going into the studio. Okay, it's not my studio. I don't have a control room because I don't like it. I like to be in the same room as the musicians. But it is always a bummer for musicians that in their heads they have the glass and looks more professional. So I always have that when bands work with me for the first time. I always have that feeling like we're being mistaken.
Yeah.
This is not the studio.
Right.
Right until they hear the first recording.
Right.
And that's I have to prove myself.
You have to prove yourself, yeah.
And for example, the Bassman 100, the minute the bass player plugs into the Bassman 100, is sold. It's like, whoa, this is a great show.
Yeah, like we say in Canada and the US, the proof is in the pudding. You gotta prove it to them, and then they're convinced, and then after that problem goes away. But yeah, I totally get it. Let me take a minute here. I know there's a lot of people that had some questions. I don't want to ignore anybody here. Let me just go back a couple of little questions here. Let's see here. There was a question. Yeah, Fat Philosopher says he's waiting for Fender to make left-handed Jimmy Page Telecasters, and Ibanez to make a lefty S series. A lot of people, that I've spoken to that are left-handed always, unfortunately, have a little bit more of a challenge getting guitars and stuff because you can't find all of the models left-handed. So they're kind of always a little bit behind the 8-ball on that, But fortunately, I'm not left-handed. My son's left-handed, but he plays right-handed. So I don't know how that works. A lot of people that are left-handed claim to be able to play the guitar right-handed. So I really don't know what it does to your brain, but I guess they make it work, which is pretty cool. And then people are saying that guitar companies don't show enough love for lefties. I guess maybe there's not that many lefties.
Yeah, it's a small market, so we need to understand that. That's why I really like to work with smaller builders and again, my karma philosophy. I'm a small YouTube guy. I'm a small musician, so I'm not a mainstream musician. I don't make millions out of my music.
Right.
I make a living out of my music, but so I like to work with people like myself. So to give them respect for doing great jobs, because there's a lot of great people not having enough respect for what they do. This is how the world works.
Absolutely.
We are not all. It's impossible for all of us to be very famous. So if you are familiar with soccer or football, as we call it in Europe, Cristiano Ronaldo is the best player in the world for a long time. He's Portuguese, born in Madeira Island.
Yep.
The only one. Yeah. It's not all Portuguese players that have that recognition.
That's true.
Is 1 in 10 million.
Right.
So
it's okay to have a small piece of the pie and make your mark, and it's not everybody has to be a superstar, and some people don't even want to be superstars because it just interferes with their daily life and what they love to do. At the end of the day, the important thing is that you love what you're doing and you love what you're producing and the music you're playing and the videos that you're making. That's what it boils down to.
That's why I don't get the hate comments on YouTube. I fortunately have very few hate comments.
Right.
Feel very fortunate about that. But sometimes I have some hate comments. Like
everybody does.
They are like, why are you writing this?
Yeah,
it's taking your time.
That's right.
It's taking my time to read it.
Yeah.
And it's worth nothing.
It's just negativity, and at the end of the day, but I mean, everybody has a right to their opinion. It's just, I guess they feel that it's, I don't know, important to them. It's important when somebody, if somebody makes a comment that could actually influence you in making better content, or maybe, if somebody says, hey, maybe you should consider doing it this way. It's definitely, it's negative in a sense, but it leads you to do better, which is great.
Yeah, but that's not a negative comment for me. I don't take it as negative. I take it as a suggestion. I might not agree with it, but it's a suggestion, and it's someone trying to give me another perspective.
Point of view. But it's the people that comment on stupidities that don't have nothing to do with anything that I don't understand. But whatever, it is what it is.
This intro made me lose 1 minute of my life.
Yeah,
and write it back. And how much time did it
You
to
lost.
write this comment?
You lost.
So you lost 2 minutes.
You lost another 3. Exactly. It's stupid. I know, but it's part of the situation. What can you do? Cool Tunes Made Easy says he has a PRS CE24, very well built and versatile guitar. I know. I like PRS guitars too. The SEs and the CEs. I have a 245, which is where is it? It's in the back of me over here. Love the guitar. One of the first that I bought, and I think you also have a DGT, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
which is also a guitar I was looking at. Sounds great. Sounds killer, that one.
Incredible.
Is
It's
it?
incredible.
Is that all original?
Yeah, I only did a mod with where I have a push pull on the neck volume,
Okay.
so I can reverse the phase of the bridge pickup, or the neck. I don't remember.
Okay.
So I can have the out of phase option on that guitar.
Okay. Cool. You know what?
That's the
You know what? The guitar I have, the 245, I bought that guitar. Actually, let me get it. I'll show it to you. One sec. So I bought this guitar a long time ago, and I ended up getting it. I bought it on eBay.
Is it pre-lawsuit?
This is pre-lawsuit.
Okay.
It's an older one. It doesn't have the, you know that they have the modern pickups now. They call them 5708s.
Yeah, or they are always changing.
Yeah.
It's always numbers.
Yeah, this one
Very-
isn't. There's no 5708s. It's these are just they call them PRS treble and bass. That's all they call them.
Okay.
But it's a crazy story because I bought this on eBay, and I would never normally buy a guitar this expensive on eBay because you have to feel it, you have to try it, you have to like it and everything. But I took a chance on this guitar, and it's freaking beautiful. The only thing, the pickups, the pickups on this guitar, they're okay, they're good, but I'm still wondering if I want to keep them. They're very vintage sounding, but at the same time, I think there's maybe better choices for pickups on this guitar. So I'm debating whether or not I'm going to keep the original pickups. That's a psychological problem I have with pickups. I have a tendency to want to change pickups on everything, just to try and find something better.
You know how to do it, right?
Sorry?
Probably because you know how to do it.
Yeah, because I know how to do it, and I also have access to some good pickups. Like I know a lot of people that whine great pickups, and
It's a tool.
It's a tool,
Yeah.
I have a set of pickups here. I just got. I don't know if
And your channel is called Addicted to Gear, so
that's it.
you have to own that name.
You got to live up to the reputation. I have another set of pickups here that were just sent to me from a winder called Jalen Guitar. He doesn't have a big following, like in terms of he doesn't have a store. He works off Facebook most of the time, but he actually makes pickups for the guitarist that's actually touring with David Lee Roth right now. He's a killer guitarist, plays a lot of Eddie Van Halen stuff, and he winds pickups that are kind of I guess hotter, like giving you that sound. But these specific pickups are more, I asked him to wind me a set that are a little bit more like vintage tone. They're like it's an A2 in the neck with about 9 point sorry, the bridge is an A2 9.4, and the neck is an 8 with an A3 magnet, so it should be a little bit more manageable in terms of sound. So I'm wondering whether or not I should try it to put it in here or try it in a different guitar. I'm not really sure. I haven't decided yet, but I want to try them. I just don't want to. I don't like installing pickups in my good guitars too often because it wrecks the pots. It wrecks the switches. When you're soldering and unsoldering the stuff too many times. So I always try not to do that. But eventually, I'm gonna have to put something in.
PRS are. I really respect PRS. I don't like everything they do. I don't like the modern thing about PRS, the flamey tops, and it's too modern for my taste. But I really, really love to have someone like Paul Reed-Smith giving his face to the product. So I like his passion about things. He's doing things a certain way, a way he believes it's the right way. He's very passionate about it.
Yeah.
He's very in depth about it. So even the John Mayer guitar, which was an incredible debate on internet, I've never seen such a guitar have so many hate from everyone. Even Fender copied his headstock from Bigsby, and no one talks.
Nobody said anything. That's right.
Yeah.
People forget.
Every other guitar is based on a Strat. Almost every brand is based on a Strat, but who cares? But I really like the consistency of PRS guitars. So I have my DGT, which I play a lot. Not in my bands. So in my bands, I play in Buddha Power Blues. I play Nags guitars. They are made in the U.S.
Yeah, excellent guitars.
And made was a former CEO for PRS, Joe Nags, and Peter Wolf, who's the brand manager, was the brand manager for PRS. So he was the one who put PRS in the world. So PRS was a small brand, and then Peter Wolf picked it up and exploded.
And went with it, yeah.
Of course, the quality of the build quality and everything about PRS wasn't not just the advertisement, but
that's right.
He did it.
Yeah, exactly.
And guitars are just freaking unbelievable. Best guitars I've ever played in my life. Yeah, and I have two.
You know, the funny thing is, sorry for interrupting. The funny thing is that people that don't have haven't tried these guitars, they don't understand, because they figure, you know what, a parts guitar that looks like a Strat or whatever is probably going to be similar to a Strat, right? It's not going to be very different. It's not going to feel very different. There's a lot of builders that make Strat type guitars and Telecaster type guitars, but there is a difference. There definitely is a difference. The question is it worth paying $3,000 for that difference or whatever they're charging?
Or do you like it?
Do you like it enough? Yeah.
Because I have a gold Strat, a Mexican Strat with all the... So it was pre-classic players or classic series Fender guitars. So I think it probably might have been the reason that they started doing it. Was Music Store. It's a German store, online store in Europe, in Germany. And they ordered like 200 or 100 guitars from Fender. So they ordered specific guitars like, we want all American parts made in Mexico. So it is affordable. And it happened to be like the classic player 1 or 2 years before after that.
Okay.
So it's a 2004 guitar.
Yeah.
With Texas Special pickups. It's a 62 Strat. Made in Mexico, assembled in Mexico, because the neck is made in U.S., the body is made in U.S., but then it is assembled in Mexico. And it's it's my Strat guitar, my proper Strat. When I want the classic Strat tone, it's that guitar. And sometime down the line, I thought, well, I'm playing Strats. I need to get me a good Strat. So I'll buy a 62 American Vintage, which was the model back then. I had a 52 Butterscotch Telly, which I really love. And I thought, well, I want this, but in a Strat. This quality, but in a Strat. And I ordered a white one, and I saw, I returned it. It was not even close to my Mexican one. And that one cost like 2,200 euros, and my Mexican one cost 500 euros. So it's a huge gap, but my Mexican one was perfect for me.
Yeah.
And it's probably just my taste.
You know what? That's what it comes down to. A lot of people, I've done a lot of reviews on my channel where I take an expensive guitar and I put it against a cheap guitar and whatever. And of course, the pickups will always give you a different sound. So depending on the sound that you're hearing, you'll say, okay, I like let's say I like the SE PRS better than the American made. Fine. That's the pickups. But you don't get the full story. You don't get the feel. You don't, when you're playing it in your hands, they do feel different, right? So although you're getting sound, you're only comparing one aspect. It's not 3D. It's one aspect is the sound. But I have Japanese, beautiful Japanese Strats that play amazing, that I bought a long time ago, and I would never sell that guitar because every time I go to a music store today, I go into the store and I try the stuff, and they're 2,000, 2,500, and I play them. I'm like, it doesn't feel as good as the ones I have. And the ones I have that I bought 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I paid peanuts for, and maybe like $500-600 max, and they sound better than the ones that they're putting out now. So I have to scratch my head and say, like, in a way, it's good because I don't get the temptation to spend money, because I walk in and I try the Les Pauls, I try some of the Strats, and it's like, no. Some of the Telecasters, not really. It comes down to really what you enjoy. And some of my favorite Telecasters are the ones that I've put together from parts. Like I've actually built it myself, and I put the neck that I like on it, the pickups that I like on it, the body that I like on it. It looks like they look like Fenders, but they're really custom built by me, and they kill the ones that are in the stores now. So
at least for you,
at least for me,
which is what matters, because after all, it's you that is playing the guitar, so you need to be comfortable, and it's very subjective.
Yep.
It's not.
That's right.
So I'm building a guitar with a Portuguese builder now. I have this will be the guitar.
That's cool because it's like you have a combination of a Gibson, Fender, and a Telecaster all in one guitar. Yeah.
And my negs.
Yeah.
So let me just get you my negs so I can show it to people.
Okay, cool. In the meantime, guys, I'm not ignoring you. Sorry about that. It's just that we're trying to cover a lot of content here. And when two gearheads start talking, you know how it is. We just get sidetracked. But I appreciate all you guys, being there and listening in. And I haven't forgotten about you guys. I see Paul and Fat Philosopher, Cool Tunes Made Easy. At the end of the day, you have to really geek out on this stuff. Rich is in the house as well. Hi, Rich. He says he loves his made in Japan guitars. I gotta agree, man. The made in Japan stuff is killer. Not only the Strats, but also like I always say over and over again, the Tokai guitars that are made in Japan are killer as well. They were pushing out some really amazing stuff. So, and the PRS necks are amazing. I find they are, anyways. They do have fatter necks and thinner necks, so it depends on what you like. So let's take.
I was telling you about the PRS. I have my DGT, which I really know, and I have a friend that bought an older DGT, like 10 years older than mine, and I played it, and it's exactly the same as mine. If I was with my eyes closed, I couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
Same feeling. So that's a great thing about brand, about consistency. And Negs also has it. So this is kind of this is the body shape. It's kind of a Tele meets Strat because it has the comfort curve here.
Yeah.
But this one has tremolo.
That's a cool.
My first one have a tremolo.
That's a cool tremolo system. It's kind of like it's kind of weird. Like it extends way past.
Yeah, this is the normal bridge they have. So it's a big bridge, like a Tele bridge. The bridge pickup is mounted on the bridge. For the tremolo, they kind of broken
in half.
The tremolo here.
Yeah.
They have like a bar going.
Yeah.
So it's what makes it pivoting.
Interesting.
It's a great guitar for.
Wow.
It's ash body. The finishing is just unbelievable, and this is a sign for me. Which is a great privilege. Yeah. Well, let me show it.
You got to have that signature. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Show me the neck joint for a second in the back, because there's no screws on it.
No, it's set neck.
It's a set neck. Oh, that's cool, man.
Set neck. So it's really a hybrid between a Gibson, a Tele, and a Strat.
That's pretty cool.
It's the 25.5. It's a Fender scale length.
Yeah.
8.5 inches radius, which I love. I have the Lindy Fralin Boost Special that I really like, and they custom some things for me. So I have the Lindy Fralin blender here, which blends in the extreme positions, blends the other pickup. So if I'm in the bridge, this blends the neck. If I'm in the neck, this blends the bridge, which is great because if I have it like on 7, if I have it on the minimum setting, it's 50-50. So it's the same. Either I'm in the neck or in the bridge. But if I have it like on midways, like 6 or 7, it's blending like 75% the bridge, 25% the neck. But here it's the opposite.
Right.
It's 75% the neck, and so it's you have a lot of tonal possibility.
Right.
And I have the phase inverter here. So if I have the full 2 pickups, I have the out of phase Albert Collins tone, Albert King tone. But with the blender, you can blend a little bit of the pickup that you are selecting, so it changes the proportion of the out of phase.
Sure.
If it's too thin, you can just dial in a little bit of the neck, and it's a little thicker, but still got that mid-range nasal quality. It's a great guitar. I play it a lot. I didn't like the finish. I ordered it in this. My other one is rosewood neck. So, continuing with what I was saying about guitars, I don't like to have. I needed a second necks because whenever I break a string on my other next guitar, it was always a disappointment to change for another guitar. Like, if I changed for a Strat, it will feel like a toy to me.
Right.
Because this guitar is just incredible. And I needed a second one.
So how much do these guitars cost, just out of curiosity?
I think they are like 4,000.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, I mean, I'm endorsed by the brand. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm not fully endorsed. I mean, I'm kind of... I pay the cost price.
Right. You gotta break.
But I still pay it, and I have to pay customs in Portugal, which is also a big thing. But it's not. It costs me the same as a good Fender.
So Fat Philosopher says that 8.5 inches is a little bit too round for him. Are all of your guitars that radius?
No, this is the only 8.5. My Telly is the vintage 7.255, I think.
So even more.
Yeah,
even more rounded.
But this doesn't feel like a round radius. This is just perfect. The thing I was telling you, I had the one with rosewood, and I ordered it in maple. But the guitars are exactly the same finish, but my rosewood has rosewood fretboard and a rosewood pickguard. This is maple pickguard. So this is not plastic.
Okay. It's actually wood, yeah.
But it's an aesthetic different. They are ash and the same color, and this has a tremolo. The other one is a stop tail. It's a full bridge, a hardtail.
So you don't find going with the smaller radiuses that you have trouble bending, like when you're playing blues, whatever. Everything's good.
I bend a lot.
Your action is high?
No, not high, not low. It's medium.
Okay. So it doesn't.
I cannot play medium, low action.
So it doesn't fret out when you're playing.
No, nothing.
That's usually a common issue when you have like a radius that's really tight, you know.
Nothing like that. And the thing I didn't like was the finish on the maple.
Mm-hmm.
So it was too gluey for me.
Okay.
So I send it up.
Okay.
That's why it has this.
The bark.
For example, here I send it a little too much, or
so I guess they're using nitrocellulose on the necks. That's why they're sticky.
Yeah, and on the back I also send it.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Because it took me a while to get used to this. The first one is perfect. This is my second one, but it's the first time I change guitars between a set and I don't notice a difference. It's like playing the same. It's not a bummer because it would always, when I broke a string, it will always ruin the rest of the show for me.
Because you like that guitar so much. Yeah.
I have to play with this guitar. So this has actually became my main one because of the tremolo, because I'm using the tremolo a lot.
So is that your number one? Is that your desert island? No, it's your number one. So how many guitars do you have in your collection? I gotta know because I have to make sure you are addicted to gear.
I don't know.
That's a good answer. That's what I told my wife.
Probably more than 50.
50. Okay, so you're way ahead of me though. I don't feel so bad now. I don't feel so bad.
And I have a new one coming.
51. 51.
Yeah. And another great guitar I have, I was telling you about, is the BNG. The guitar that you were asking me about, and that I used in the cage system.
Yeah.
So this is an Israel concept of a guitar. This one is made in China, but very well built, and it's a very different beast. Very inspiring to play. It has a 12-inch radius, so for example, this is this is harder to play than the next, which is really strange.
Okay.
Probably the fret heights.
Could be.
So they have Escar, which I really, really think makes more of a difference than the radius to me. I have I had my vintage Tele, my vintage 52, American vintage 52 Tele, with vintage frets that were very small, and it was really hard to play. I changed the frets to the same frets as the necks, which are Jescar 55 something. It's thin, tall frets.
Okay.
And it changed the guitar in the. It was a completely different guitar. I don't have any stress playing bendings, and if we really think about it, Hendrix played.
That's it.
Vintage threads with
That's true.
7.2 something. Eric Clapton, David Gilmour, the bending guys.
That's true.
Play very vintage and wrong radius. So
it's amazing how the little changes, even like the height of the frets, or little things like that, make such a big difference in a guitar. And that really could.
So it's another guitar.
It's another guitar, exactly.
It's another guitar.
Little things like that are enough to either make you love the guitar or hate the guitar. Have you tried the guitars with stainless steel frets?
I have. I find it a little too bright for my taste.
Yeah, me too. I have a little bit. I like it because they last long, but it has a little bit of a pingy sound to it. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but when you're playing, you can definitely hear like a little bit more of the highs, and it's something that you have to get used to. I mean, when the drummer kicks in, it doesn't really make a difference anymore, but it's when you're playing at home, you notice that with the stainless steel frets.
And it all depends, because the BNG is a darker guitar. So, for example, it will probably benefit from those ringy frets.
Yeah.
But for example, in this BNG, I have NYXLs, the Adarium NYXLs, which are a little brighter too.
Yep.
So it helps the guitar. So you need to accommodate for different guitars. I use different gauges for different guitars. The BNG has 10s, my Nags have 10s, but all my Fenders have 9s. It's too much. 10s, it's too much for me.
Have you tried the new 9.5s?
No.
I ordered a couple of sets. I'm curious to see, because I alternate between 9s and 10s too, and sometimes like 10s are just a little bit too heavy, 9s are just a little bit too slinky, so you overshoot sometimes on the bend. So I'm curious to see if the 9.5s are going to be like a good compromise between the two. So I'm curious.
Yeah, it depends. Where I'm addicted to gear is that I look at gear as an inspiration. So sometimes gear, or a lot of times gear. For example, the story how I bought the Jimmy Page Telecaster. I was recording a band in the studio, and usually when I'm recording, since I'm 8 to 12 hours with the band in the room, I try to, when they are doing the 3rd, 5th, 8th take, I try to disconnect my brain of their music and try to listen as my grandma would listen to their music. So I have to kill a lot of my brain, because I'm very analytical, since I'm a musician and I'm a producer. So my brain is very picky and always looking for mistakes and looking for trouble. So I have to distract myself. So I'm often going to the email, looking stuff on the web, like looking for gear, surfing the web. So my brain is a little busy, and I'm listening to the music. Of course, I'm in the room with them, so I have no other option. And I was looking like, oh shit, Fender just released the Jimmy Page.
Big trouble.
I was looking for a white tele. This is a white tele. My God.
It's a sign from God. Yeah, exactly.
I need to have one, and I really, really love Jimmy Page's Teletone. So I was like, I need to have this. I was looking for a second Tele. I wanted Fender discontinued the white Tele.
Yeah.
Just in that period. So I was like, oh, I was looking for the American vintage, or what they call it now, original or something, with rosewood neck, because I already had the maple one.
Yeah.
So I was looking for it, and then there's a Jimmy Page edition.
It just came out. Yeah.
It's limited or something, so it's even more collectible, which is better for my.
Do you have that guitar with you there?
Yeah.
Take it out. I got to see it because, and I'm gonna grab something too if I have it here. 1 second. Hey, Rich. A little therapy goes a long way, man.
So I will show you my first snags.
Yeah.
So
it's similar, yeah.
This is not signed. Was my first. Oh, for example, this guitar came on my birthday. It arrived from customs, from flights, everything on my birthday. So it's a funny coincidence.
It's a sign.
Tuned. It was perfectly tuned. After coming from the US and going through all of that.
Yeah.
Perfectly tuned. So as you can see, the bridge.
Yeah.
It's the same.
So the bridge is that brass?
This I don't really know, because the funny thing is that the distress is what looks new. So it was all black.
Oh, okay. So it actually wore off the finish.
I worn the black off. So what you see, black is the remaining of the original finish. Okay. It's the opposite.
Right. That's pretty cool.
But
that's a really nice looking guitar, man.
This is perfect. This is my guitar.
Yeah.
So this is my desert island.
That's your desert island guitar, yeah.
The bridge pickup sounds like a Tele, which I really like. The neck is a great Strat, and then you have all the Strat combinations. And with the push, this one has a push-push instead of a push-pull, which I really prefer. So with a push, you can have the two, the neck and bridge, so you have a Tele.
Super, man. Really nice looking guitar, and string through body too, so it's really cool.
Yeah. And this is the Jimmy Page mirrorless Tele. I don't put the mirrors.
Yeah, the mirrors. Keep the mirrors in the case. It's okay.
Yeah, I have it in the case.
Yeah. So now, okay. So tell me, the Jimmy Page, this Jimmy Page one, it's American made, right?
Yeah. The white one is American.
Is American. How much was that guitar?
$2,500.
$2,500. Now, I love Jimmy Page, right? They came out with the Dragon series. That's a little.
They say I don't like the statics, but they say it's not as good as the American one.
The Dragon is too much. You can't take that guitar and play the Dragon, because unless you're playing Jimmy Page riffs all night long, it's kind of weird to have the Dragon. So I wouldn't buy the Dragon. It's like people buying the striped guitar from Eddie Van Halen. You know, it's like you can't.
Or the ball from Buddy Guy.
Or the ball, exactly. It doesn't make sense. So yeah,
too much.
It's a little bit too much. I put this guitar together. Very similar.
Same.
There you go. Same thing. You know, this is also it's actually Fender parts.
It's the pick guard.
It's the same. So this is actually from Fender parts. These are all like original Fender parts. Everything's original Fender except the neck, and because I bought the neck the way I wanted.
You have brass saddles. Mine has steel saddles.
Yeah, that's it. These are brass, compensated brass saddles. But to me, like, this is one of my favorite Telecasters that I have. And I have a 52 and I have other ones. But the ones that you build have something special because, I don't know, you build them according to what you want. And it's a killer sounding...
That's the custom shop thing.
Yeah.
It's not just the build quality. you customizing the special little details that make a difference.
This is the Tony Custom Shop. I put the locking tuners in the back, actually give a little bit more mass to the guitar as well. But I really like the rosewood, the real rosewood, because now it's hard to get real rosewood anymore. And also the fact that I like the saddle here, not the saddle, but the.
I got that. Great.
It's compensated, so you have this part cut out, so that it doesn't.
And a little less on top, right?
At the bottom and a little less on top, yeah. So you have it's a little bit more comfortable. The only thing I would probably change is I would get the what do you call this? The plate that has the angled switch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a little upgrade that I eventually would like to do, because I find like the switch is a little bit, it's tricky to get the. But other than that, man, it's a fantastic guitar, and I love playing it.
So the story behind this guitar, I was looking for gear when recording that band, and I saw the Jimmy Page. I called the local store and told the guys, hey, listen, I would really love to play one of this. I will probably buy it, but I have a lot of guitars, so what's the best price you can give me? And are you able to order the guitar, and if I don't like it, I don't keep it?
Yeah.
And they told me, okay, no problem. So I ordered it. It took a while to get it.
I could imagine, yeah.
6 or 8 months to get it. And there was also a custom shop made. They released at NAMM, but it costed $25,000. So not for me. Definitely not for me.
So what's
I buy a car with that.
Oh, I know it's ridiculous.
No, I don't spend that amount of money.
Don't get me started on that. It's like that's one of the things that I always complain about on my channel. It's like the prices of the guitars are getting ridiculous now. Even like regular guitars. I'm not talking about like if you're ordering a guitar that is custom made, has it's made by a boutique builder, and you're getting custom appointments on it. I get it. You're paying for the custom build time.
For his time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The custom build time it's expensive. But when you're looking at Fender guitars and Ibanez guitars and the regular what I call production guitars that are becoming $22,000 to $2,500, it's getting to the point where it's a little bit ridiculous. So I think
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're going to be paying that kind of money, I think a lot of people will be considering going to a specific builder that can build exactly what they want, as opposed to buying off the shelf, But so what is the main difference on the Jimmy Page Telecaster compared to, let's say, a standard Telecaster? Why do you like it so much?
That's what I was telling you. So I was recording that band and mixing, and the band asked me, we would like to have you on the record, to have you playing something on the record. Please, when you're mixing, choose wherever you want to play, just do it, whatever you feel like playing. And I was mixing a song, and it was missing a solo, a guitar solo. There was a part, an instrumental part, that was not doing it for me. And since I was producing, I had that freedom too. So I thought, well, this is it. I will record a solo in this part. And it was a Telecaster solo, definitely. So I picked up my 52 Tele and did like 18 takes, and I wasn't getting there. I had the Jimmy Page Tele in the studio to test, and I thought, let's give it a try. So it's a great way to test the guitar in a real situation.
Yeah.
So let me just test it. And it was first take, it was a solo. And I was like, this is exactly the tone I was looking for in my other Tele, but it's in here, so I have to buy it. So
is it the pickups? Is it the pickups that?
I don't know. It's a mix. My 52 Tele had American vintage 52 pickups, but the bridge died.
Okay.
I don't really know why, but something went wrong and it died. So I changed it for Lindy Fralin Blue Special.
Okay.
I had to change the pickups, so I really like Lindy Fralin pickups, so I changed it, and it didn't affect it that much, the tone. It was almost the same, a little brighter, probably a little more trebly, but in a good way, so it didn't affect. But that guitar has a bottom it almost sounds like a P90. It's not as thick as a P90, but it is raunchy. The bridge is really rock and roll sounding. It has bass, you know, like it is sharp like a Tele usually is, but it's heavy. It's a heavy guitar.
So
it's
is that
heavy
like
sounding.
more fat, like a fatter sound, or?
It's fatter. It's fat, but it's not in the Les Paul fat kind of way.
Yeah,
It's a different. It sounds like a Tele.
Yeah.
It's a regular Tele, but I don't really know how to describe it. It seems you're playing really heavy strings, and I'm playing nines on that guitar.
So
this one is brighter. Is Jimmy Page sounding?
Right.
It's that trebly,
it's more cutting.
that peaky, almost treble booster.
Mm-hmm.
That Jimmy Page sound. It's Stairway to Heaven in a guitar.
Right.
You
Right.
play it. It's that sound immediately. Like all the Jimmy Page tones. It sounds like it. It's thin, but in a really great way.
Okay. So
Even the neck pickup, it's a little stratty. It's not as Tele as normal neck pickups.
I'm curious to see what pickups are in that guitar. I don't know if they have that information.
It's Jimmy Page special,
of course,
pickups.
of
Yeah.
course, and they probably don't, and they probably don't sell those pickups alone,
No.
right? You got to buy
yeah.
of course.
That's why I bought the guitar. Otherwise, I would buy the pickups first.
No kidding. I would do the same thing. Well, eventually we're gonna find out what pickups they are, and
They call it Jimmy Page because it's kind of a recreation
Yeah.
of Jimmy Page's guitar. So they say it's a special
I
pickup.
get it. I get it. Yeah, Fender always does that. They do that on their special runs just to screw you up, so you can't buy the pickups. Because I've had some really good.
Even PRS. So Fat Philosopher was saying here that the John Mayer guitar screwed PRS business, but it was exactly the opposite. They couldn't keep up with the demand.
That was actually, I was actually surprised at how much people actually like that guitar and are still buying that guitar, because I felt like a Fat Philosopher. I'm like, just get a Strat. Why would you pay so much money for a guitar that's basically a Strat? But it's really not.
But it's basically a Strat made by PRS. Mm-hmm. So it's another standard. It's the thing I really love about my Nags.
Yeah.
So first, it's a special, different guitar.
Yeah.
But it is a great Strat. But it doesn't sound as shiny as a Strat. It's a little more towards the Tele kind of sound. I don't know if it is because of the ash body of the strings through and big block bridge. I don't really know, but it has a different tone. It is bright if I want it to be, but it has a different tone. But this is not comparable to any Strat I ever played in my life. I played the custom shops in every store I go to. I played 10,000 euros custom shop guitars, and they are not even close to this one.
I've done the same. And it's like, you want to like them. You look at the custom shop stuff, they look fantastic, and I'm like, wow. Yeah. And then, okay, let me try this guitar. And then you're holding an $8,000 guitar or $9,000 guitar, and you're like, fuck, the one I have at home plays nicer than this one.
and then guitar cables. The guitar cables do an incredible difference. I play with lava cables, which are American made too, and I play with a coily cable because I like what it does to the tone. It tames off the brightness.
The high end, yeah.
So it makes the guitar a little fatter, a little more compressed, a little more where I want it to be.
Yeah.
And I was playing in Israel last November, where I did the factory tour. I went to a big music store over there, and they had a 59 Les Paul reissue, of course, an R9 Les Paul. I played it, and I was like, I need to get this guitar. But it is hard to get things out of Israel.
Yeah.
Because they are very strict with customs and everything. The guitar was $2,000 cheaper than it is in Europe. I don't really know why, but I was a little afraid it would be not a real Gibson.
Okay.
It didn't have the R. Usually the 59s have a R9
on the serial
number.
Yeah.
It didn't have. I couldn't find the number. I was a little afraid of because it was still like to $2,500 euros, probably around that. But it was cheaper
Yeah.
than in Europe. In Europe, they cost like 45
Sure.
hundred.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a great deal. Probably they got it before the new Gibson thing. Although I'm really upset with Gibson these days. I don't really agree with their philosophy and the way they are attacking all the small brands, and they are being a little bullied as everyone is talking about on YouTube. So, but I played the guitar and it was incredible. It was just incredible. I played it through a blues junior that I really know. So I was playing it. The guitar was magical. Like the volume works in a great way. It sounded like when you put the volume at 5, it's a tele, and then you have all the extra from 5 to 10. It was amazing. Played really great. I tested the 58. It was a crappy guitar, not even close. So that guitar was really special, and I was like, this is what I've been looking in this kind of guitar. So I was tempted, but I was like, I'm playing through a different cable, so I'm very used to my lava cable. It's probably the cable that is doing the difference. And I went there in the next day with my lava cable because I was playing, so I had the cable with me, and it was the cable. It was the cable that was doing. My lava cable with that guitar didn't sound as good as the guitar could sound because it was taking off too much of the trebly things that in that specific case helped the guitar.
Yeah. So the lava cable was cutting off too much highs, and it was affecting the way you were hearing the guitar or appreciating the guitar tone.
Yeah. So when I went there for the second time, like to test it with my cable, it sounded like my Les Paul.
So the cable you brought the second time was a coily cable. Which one did you bring?
With my lava.
Okay,
cable.
your lava cable.
The first time I was playing through a cable.
Oh, regular cable. I see. Okay.
So it was actually the combination of things. So the special thing I really loved on that guitar was the cable with that guitar. So I was like very in doubt. I have a lot of guitars. Les Paul is not my guitar, definitely. But I have the fetish, Jimmy Page fetish again.
Sure. I understand that, man.
So I ended up not buying it. I'm a little sorrow that I didn't because I was hoping to get to Israel on tour this April. Of course, I didn't. And I'm not sure if I will get that guitar ever again. But not a big problem. But then when I came back, I tried my Les Paul with another cable because I always use the lava cable because I like it so much. And I found out I don't like that cable with every guitar.
Okay.
So it is a great cable for specific, for example, for the Jimmy Page, it's mandatory because it's too bright. So I need to have that cable rounding things a little.
The coily cable.
Yeah. The coily. But for the B&G, it ruins the guitar.
Okay.
So I need to have and that whole trip in Israel was opened my mind because I was really focused on the cable, and I went to B&G factory. I played some of their guitars with my cable and with their cable, and their cable sounded way better than mine.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, now I get better what this guitar is supposed to do. I wasn't getting all of it because I was using my coily cable, and it was clouding what the guitar can deliver. So cables are a thing.
Yeah, they are a thing. It's true.
Very.
A lot of people don't believe it's a thing, and but if you're going directly from a guitar cable into an amplifier, it does have a big influence on what you're hearing at the end of the signal chain. I think when you're going into a lot of other things, a lot of pedals, and if the pedals are not buffered or are buffered, or you're not using a good quality power bank, or going into poor quality even home wiring, it'll change everything. But it's good to be able to have the option of a couple of different cables if you want to play around with that and make sure you're getting the best combination. Yeah, I haven't really, to be honest with you, I haven't really spent a lot of time experimenting with different cables, just because I'm
doing an episode on that, actually.
That's cool.
I'm just waiting on lava cable. I'm also a dealer for some products, So I'm a dealer for lava cable, and I'm waiting to have bigger
Inventory?
because I have the retro coil and I have the Ultra Mafic, which is a very high-endy cable, high-endy in price, not in high-end. It's a very neutral, very transparent, big. It's a big cable. It sounds huge in the guitar. With the tele, it's impossible
It's too much.
to me.
It's too much.
Yeah, but with Les Pauls or something like that. So I have Van Damme, David Laboga from Poland, Sinusoid from US, Lava Cables, Monster Cable. I have a lot of cables, and I will be doing a video comparison of cables because I think it's a game changer. Sometimes it's just the thing you need for that special reaction. So, for example, I love the Lava Cable with my guitars, but in the middle position, in between, so neck and middle or bridge and middle, since it scoops a little of the mid-range and it scoops a little of the highs, with a Lava Cable, I never get that sound that I really love to get.
Okay.
So I'm starting to play with more open cables. During this quarantine, it's really recent. I haven't tested it live. I'm playing with open cables, and then usually playing the neck position with a tone on 6. And when I want the clean, I open the tone, and in the middle position, I have that sparkly clean,
right.
But I have it available on the guitar, which is also a thing a lot of people don't use. Even myself, I don't use a lot the tone control on the guitar. I should use it more.
The funny thing is that I kind of went through the same kind of rabbit hole, but more with pedals, because like I was getting different tones from different effects loops with my different pedals, depending on what was in the chain. Like some pedals will definitely suck tone, some pedals will not. And so, when I was playing directly into an amp, like I have, I don't know if you know Brunetti, but I have a Brunetti Pleximan there. I don't know if you can see it right over there. And they make fantastic amplifiers. They're made in Italy. And
not expensive.
No, they're actually surprisingly affordable. I think you can get those for about I'm gonna say 1,005, maybe 1,000, between 1,002 and 1,005. I'm not really sure now, but they're great sounding amplifiers. They're really well made. They have a lot of flexibility because they do have switches with that. It's a simple circuit. They do have, it's 2 channels, no reverb, but you have 2 channels on it, a clean and a regular circuit, and then but you do have the ability to. It's basically sounds like a bass, kind of like a Bassman, kind of like a plexi, and then a hot rodded plexi. You have with the switches. You can get all of those sounds out of it. But when I was plugging directly into it, it sounded fantastic. I'm like, yeah, that's the sound that had a nice bloom to it, and it really sounded great. And then I would go through pedals, and I'm like, it doesn't sound the same. There's something missing. Like I'm definitely missing part of the frequencies here, and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, is it the cable? Is it the pedals? And anyways, I ended up like doing process of elimination, going through one pedal at a time, adding another pedal until I figured out which pedals were sucking the tone. And it really does make a difference. A huge difference.
I have the small Ibanez delay, the analog delay, this one, the tiny pedal, that is a killer delay, but it ruins the tone completely. It takes off all the high end. It's I just bought a tremolo, an MXR or Dunlop, the old one, the purple tremolo. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
From the 90s.
Yeah.
I always had that pedal in my mind, so I've seen it in a kind of Craigslist here. It's OLX. It's where you buy used stuff. I seen it. I bought it, and it does the same thing. It ruins the tone immediately. When you plug into it, the guitar sounds strange. So Paul Ewing, Stompbox Stills, is saying that he has seen a chart, and the cables from $20 to $100 have nearly zero difference in the chart. I've also seen charts that the difference is huge, and I don't hear the difference. So charts don't really matter. What matters is what you hear. And for example, I have a Monster cable, a coily cable, Monster cable that costs in here 20 euros. And my Lava cable costs near to 70 euros. And sometimes I prefer the monster cable. It's not a matter of cost. It's a matter of tone. Sometimes the cheap cable is better than the very expensive one. But well, in the lava realm, with my nags, I prefer the lava retrocoil than the Ultramafic. And the Ultramafic costs like 120 euros, and the retrocoil costs 70. So it's almost half, and I prefer it. It's not a matter of how much does it cost. It's what do you like.
What
Again,
are you getting at the end of it? That kind of opens up so much of a discussion. I mean, that's when we're starting to get into discussion of like buffered pedals as opposed to true bypass and tone woods and also like caps on guitars. Like, oh, I have to have Bumblebee caps because they sound different. And there's people that work in electronics that say you're crazy, man. A cap with a certain value is going to sound exactly like another cap with a certain value. It's you're being taken for a ride. But
that's why I always go. My gear guy is my friend Miguel from MVO Custom Electronics. He does pedals and he builds amps and stuff. But is my tech guy because he's a musician, and sometimes techs don't have the sensibility to understand the difference of feeling into playing to something else. They say they sound exactly the same, and their test amp in the shop is like a Squier terrible amp. I've seen techs with just a speaker, no cabinet, and testing guitars. It sounds the same. Yeah, to you. I get it.
You know what? That brings me to the exactly what we were saying. Like you did the same thing I did. That's why I kind of laugh a little bit because, you had a Blues Junior. I had a Blues Junior. You modified your Blues Junior. I modified my Blues Junior. You know what the biggest difference in tone was? The biggest difference obviously is the speaker, but second biggest difference is the cabinet. And a lot of people they don't realize the Blues Junior is a great amplifier. It's just the way they built it with, the wood. The cabinet is basically made of pressed wood. The speaker is not that great. I put exactly the same speaker as you did, the ET65. That's the one I used. And I also put I had two. I actually got a big pine cabinet made and I put two speakers in there, which maybe is overkill for that amplifier. But changing the cabinet was a huge difference. It just became so much more, how can I say it? The vibrations on that cabinet were amazing. It just basically resonated.
That's of a toy.
Yeah,
it's of a toy.
It resonated. It basically made the speakers sound better. It resonated with the speakers, which was great. And at the same time, I also changed the mini reverb tank that they had inside. I put a mod reverb tank, which was bigger because I had a bigger box, so I could actually put a bigger one. Sounded great. The only thing I regret doing is putting two speakers. I should have stuck with a small cabinet with just one speaker for that particular one. But I got a good deal on a nice pine cabinet that was covered in Tolex. It looked original and everything, and it really looked killer. I kind of regret selling that amplifier. Actually, I ended up selling it, and because even at 15 watts, to get into the sweet spot on that amplifier, you have to crank it quite a bit. And yeah, there's a master volume, but putting down the master volume kind of chokes the sound on it. So to really get it to sing,
I use it master all the way up, and then I tweak the volume to get to where I want. But I almost bypass in a way the master section.
Yeah. So just getting back to what they're saying.
But not at home. At home, it's impossible.
even just 15 watts, it's too loud. Fender makes really loud amplifiers. That's the thing I like most about the Brunetti. It has it's 25 and it goes down to 5 watts, so it's a lot more manageable in terms of tone, and it has a really good effect.
For home use, I think 5 watts is the maximum. You can go with 1 watt.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have my pig nose. It's like I don't even know what the volume is, and it's a loud amp at home. The pig nose, so you don't need volume at home.
No, the Friedman I love, but it's 40 watts at home. It's very loud. Like it's not even starting to it's like you're not even warming it up when you're playing it at home. But it has a great master volume on it. So even at low volumes, it still sounds full, but in a live situation, it's killer. It's just like amazing.
I love the Leo Fender approach to amps, because I think Fender, the early Fender and what still is inspiring Fender, they thought it really well. So they had the Princeton at 10 watts, at 15 watts, but with a 10-inch speaker. Then they have the Deluxe, then the Super, and then the Twin. So it's basically telling you, like, depending on where you're playing, you will need one of these amps. Yeah. You have the four amps. You will take the right one for the right situation.
For the show, yeah.
The Twin is a killer amp. It's I've never heard such a loud amp as a Twin.
Yeah.
It's super loud. But for example, I opened for AC/DC in Lisbon, and if you think you have gear,
that's right. They have gear. That's it.
So it's 10 Marshall has 4 guitar, so 10 each. They have plexiglass protecting the bass cabs, so the bass cabs don't bleed too much of guitar from the mic in the bass.
Yeah.
But it's 10 Marshall heads cranked, so it's 1,000 watts in guitars, 10 speakers, 10 4x12 for each guitar player.
But you know what I heard?
Working. It's not gimmick.
Yeah, because
I've seen it.
I think that what year was that?
It was the Black Eyes tour. So
recently. It was recently.
Yeah, 2008 probably.
Because
it was still the original band.
Because I thought that because I do watch some of the tech reviews, you know, when they go back and the gear rundown where they talk about what they're using, and a lot of times, like, you know, a lot of times the amps are for show, and then they're just using a mic'd amp in the back of the stage that gives you most of their sound. But I know that Angus likes to use the Wizard amps, which are also made here in Quebec.
They were Australian. I didn't know it was. Yeah.
No, well, I thought originally the Wizard amps are actually Canadian.
Yeah, but they have it. They had 10 plexis. It was like JDM 45s. It's not all plexi super leads. So super leads, JDM 45, super bass. They have some super basses over there too. But they had like 10 amps each, and then 10 spare amps each too. And there was a lot of Wizards. They were not using Wizards in that show, but there was. I've seen a big rack with Wizards, all Wizards.
So how did
which they replaced? They change amps every show.
Yeah. How did it feel playing for them or opening up for them?
Well, I felt incredible because I played to 60,000 people. But it is what it is. You're opening, so no one cares.
They're all getting their beers.
Yeah, people are not even listening. The sound. I think the sound for the audience was crappy.
Okay. Did you?
Our sound guy was like sound checking and moving up the master volume, and the guy from AC/DC came to him and said, "Hey man, this is AC/DC, not your crappy band." So put the master down, like very quiet. Whatever. I loved it. I was playing in a big stadium. It was the biggest show in my life. But I played with my Marshall Super Bass. I was playing Framus speakers, 2x12 and 4x12. So I was playing a 6-12 combination with a Marshall Super Bass and the Twin. I didn't hear the Twin. The Twin was not loud enough. Because in a big stadium, and even my Marshall, if I was standing in front of it, it was killing me. I couldn't stand more volume than that.
Laser beam, yeah.
Yeah, but you move one step to the left, or you lose the amp. Right. That's why Angus uses a huge because you have a continuous sound.
That's right.
It's a very, very.
It's very focused. The sound. It's true. Yeah, it's true. That's one of the drawbacks with the Marshall cabinets is that you have to stand in front of it to hear it. You move 3 feet this way or 3 feet that way, and you don't hear much anymore. But did you get a chance to meet anybody from the band?
No way.
No way.
They locked us down in the dressing room when AC/DC came over because they were like a wall apart from us. Mm-hmm. So we were here and they were in the other side of the wall. But they lock us over. We don't even get the get to watch them.
Really? So you're like the lion in the cage. They only let you out for
Yeah.
the show, and then you go back and that sucks.
And they didn't let us watch the show even.
Why?
We weren't allowed to go to the audience, but I went anyway. I'm Portuguese, so
You find a way.
so for example, I had they gave us a free pass, so you can be at the backstage.
Yeah.
But they didn't give us the thing to put it on your neck, so
Right.
they all gave us the free
Pass.
pass. And we didn't know that. We were way at 600 kilometers from my home, so I was very away from home.
Yeah.
We couldn't leave the building because there was
Security.
always
Yeah.
do. And I passed through the tour manager, and he was like, "Where's your free pass? I have it here in my pocket. You have to put it on your neck. I don't have anything to put it on my neck.
Yeah.
I'm as away from home as you are,
That's
so
it.
it's the same.
That's it.
You didn't give us the thing to put it on your neck, but you have to put it on your neck." And I passed through the guy like 10 times. Every time he asked me, "Where's your free pass?" I have it in here. You have to put it on the neck. I told you I don't have
That's
anything
it.
to put on the neck, and it's the second time you're asking
That's
me that.
right.
So you already know I have the free pass.
That's right.
At the 10th time, she asked me, and I was like, "You know me already. You're a friend."
I think he has Alzheimer's. He forgets. That's funny, man.
And they were really terrible. Everything about the catering, everything was Australian. Everything. Chips, water, beer, even for us. So they take care of everything. The sound check was 5 minutes, our sound check.
Okay, they don't
Incredible.
really. Yeah, they don't really care, right?
But it was incredible. The tone in the stage
Was great.
The sound we had in the stage was probably one of the best sounds I have ever had in my life.
And that's probably the crappy settings, you know.
No, but they were really, really professional.
Okay.
I mean, it's the top level of professionality. Like solutions in 30 seconds.
You know
Like
what?
the guy, for example, the other band that was opening for us. So there were two Portuguese bands opening. They opened for us, then we, and then AC/DC. So the other band was having some issues with their cables, and it was not finding their cables. But the band was super rude when they went there, even with us. So they were like very convinced, very very hot shots. So I didn't help him. I knew what was happening, but I didn't help him. And his roadie was like, "What's happening?"
He's scrambling. Yeah.
In the amp and like slapping the tube amp, man. And the AC/DC roadie came in, and what's happening? "Oh, I'm not sure. The guitar tone coming and going." And he said, "Give me the cable." He plugged in straight to the amp. It's not the amp. Tuk, tuk, tuk. It's this cable. It took him like
2 seconds.
2 seconds to understand the problem. So they were that fast. It was like 400 people working on that stage, and they were already putting a show in Madrid for the next day. So they have two different teams at the same time. So they have the stage here and another same stage with cannons, bells, all you can imagine.
The whole, all the paraphernalia that you need. Yeah.
All you can imagine. Another 10 marshals for each guitar player.
For me, I think just talking about shows, I haven't ever opened for anybody as big as that. That's for sure. But just talking about shows, one of the shows that I'm never gonna forget is when I went to see Stevie Ray Vaughan in here in Montreal, and I'm a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan, and I don't know if you like his music or not, but that show was incredible. I still remember. I think it was back in the early, I'm gonna say probably the late 80s. I don't even remember exactly the date, but I was still in high school, and so it must have been before 87, probably 87, 88, and it was like, what a show, man. That night was an incredible night. A friend of mine who went to see the show with me, we still talk about it today. It was like when everything clicks, the sound is great, playing is great, venue is great. We were outside. We were playing. It was a very small venue outside by the water. And if you know Montreal, there's a big bridge called the Jacques Cartier Bridge, and it basically that was the backdrop of the stage. So you see the stage, you see the river behind it, and you see the Jacques Cartier Bridge behind it. Nighttime, beautiful temperature, and he played like I've never seen anybody playing before. He was like playing behind his head with his teeth and back of his back, spinning the guitar, strumming the guitar with his feet. And every song that he was playing, he gave like 110%. It was really amazing. And I had, my mouth was like, it was just like, it dropped, I'm like, and even today, we still talk about it. And we're like, do you remember that night? And they're like, yeah, I remember that night. It was just a magical night,
Yeah, of course. Well, Stevie Ray, I have a thing with Stevie Ray. The copycats kind of ruin it for me. Because it was so mimicked, so many people try to copy him that it's not that great, but it was great. It was definitely great.
Yeah,
and he had his own thing. Although it was Hendrix and Albert King in the same guy, so
that's right.
He went both ways, and then. Did his own thing.
But he made me appreciate Albert King, and he made me appreciate Hendrix more, because before then I really wasn't really paying attention to them. And then when he came and he was playing the covers and the Albert King style, and I'm like, who is this Albert King guy? And he made me appreciate a lot more other blues players, because it opened up a little bit more. Like Clapton. I don't really like Clapton, but I respect him a lot, because he is the blues ambassador, the biggest blues ambassador. Without him, there would be probably no blues scene. Besides Cream, I'm not a big Eric Clapton fan. I like I like his playing, but I prefer the stuff he was doing in Cream, because it was more like spontaneous and raw, and so he's not my favorite. But.
Even on John Mayall, he has a good record with John Mayall, but it doesn't move me a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not Jimmy Page or Jimi Hendrix. Those are the thing. Or even Billy Gibbons. I really prefer Billy Gibbons playing to Clapton's.
I like Billy Gibbons too, but it's like him. It's like the same. Always sort of kind of the same. He says he says it himself. He's been playing the same four chords for 50 years.
It's the new John Lee Hooker.
Yeah,
John Lee Hooker only has one song. It's John Lee Hooker.
That's true.
But it's magical. It's magical when you can do that.
Yeah,
it's mood. It's not a song. It's not song oriented. It's this thing. John Lee Hooker has this thing. It doesn't play really good. Is a great singer, but he has a thing that no one else in the world has.
Yeah.
And Billy Gibbons, it's incredible with tone.
He's the tone master, right?
Yeah, it's just incredible.
Everybody wants that tone. At least I want that tone. What?
He plays sevens.
I know, I can't believe it.
It's
he plays sevens, and everything's weight relieved in his guitars, even his necks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like, so you figure everybody's saying, no, you got to go to heavier strings. If you want to sound heavier, like Stevie Ray Vaughan used to play 12s. So you gotta, and he's going the opposite. He's like, no, sevens.
And he's the heaviest tone man.
And it's amazing. He never breaks a string. So it's like, I don't know how he does it, man.
I think he plays really, really gentle. I think it's the thing with light strings. You can't struck the guitar too much.
I think really it is his dynamics and his picking and all those fake harmonics, the pinch harmonics that he's playing and everything. Yeah, he definitely is the man when it comes to like yeah.
I've heard I don't know the record name, but I heard Government Mule. Do you know the band from Warren Haynes?
Government Mule, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I bought a record and I put it in the car, and first song I was like, there's a huge outro with a huge solo, and I was like, really? Warren Haynes is copying Billy Gibbons. It's terrible. I was like very frustrated. Like, why do you do this? And then I went to the record shit, and it's Billy Gibbons. Okay. So it makes sense. It's Billy Gibbons playing. So, but it has that sound, that
Yeah.
killer
You can,
pinch harmonic, and
yeah, you can tell right away when it's him. It's like there's no doubt that you're listening to him. The funny thing is that, for him, everything is about tone, and everybody wants to know how he gets that tone, right? Everybody wants to know what speakers he's using, what amplifiers he's using, what pedals he's using.
But he's always changing.
He's always changing, exactly. So you never know, right? I know, like now he's playing the magnetones, which are, he plays those often, but every time I've seen him over the years.
He was playing the Marshall MP1
Yeah.
pre
The racks,
with 12-state power amp.
Yep.
Can you go crappier than that?
Yeah, and another time he was also playing this small amplifier. What was it called? Scorpion or something?
The lunchbox one.
Small,
right?
But I forget the name of it. Scorpion, maybe?
No.
The hell was it called? I don't remember. But it was
a gray lunchbox, very small.
Small, yeah.
Solid state, 200 watts.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. And so, every time you see the guy, he's playing something else.
He played big nose amps, battery, crappy amps. So he has a great tone. It's that thing.
The funny...
We're talking about Clapton, but Clapton has a lot of great records. One of them is the From the Cradle record.
From the Cradle, yeah.
For Robert Johnson. It's such a great tone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of his better ones, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the 35 tone that he gets out of the Champ.
Yeah. It's
just unbelievable. It's almost a fuzzy tone with no articulation and articulation. It's kind of
it really is. It really is.
Me.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one thing I wanted to ask you, speaking of tones, when I listened to your band on some of the YouTube videos that you posted, one song I was listening to sounded a lot like Rival Sons.
Yeah, it's a Led Zeppelin influence.
Because I'm really a big fan of Rival Sons right now. It's probably one of my favorite bands. The newer bands.
I've seen it live, and it was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. And the sound was not good.
The sound wasn't good. This guy uses a lot of fuzz, right? A lot of fuzz.
But the singer, man, the singer is just unbelievable. Yeah. I've seen Robert Plant, and he's at that level.
I don't know how he does it to do show after show singing like that without blowing out his vocal cords. This guy's amazing, but
it's unbelievable. Really unbelievable.
I find the singer's really good, the drummer's really good. Obviously, a lot of Bonham influences.
Yeah, super.
Bass player very good. Guitarist, he's okay. But he does, he plays the fuzz. He doesn't really play the guitar. He plays the fuzz.
But he owns the fuzz, and it has really great riffs.
Yeah.
There's a song, very calm song from, I think it's from the Pressure and Time record.
Jordan?
Acoustic.
Not Jordan. Not Jordan. The other one.
You and your face. Let me just check, because that is a killer Zeppelin-esque.
Yeah, they do have a quite a, not like a copy
in the beginnings, they were closer to Zeppelin than they are now. They are getting their own.
They're getting their own sound. Yeah, they're not like Greta Van Fleet, that is very like. We don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah, I hate that band.
They're listening to Led Zeppelin right now and saying, "How are we going to make this song and not get sued?"
That's it. I wrote songs for advertisement on TV. I wrote a lot of songs and recorded a lot of songs, and that was the most requested thing I had. Like, we want this song, but we don't want to pay the rights for free. So please make a song exactly like this.
That's right.
But legally,
take out a couple of notes, take out a couple of chords.
The last chord.
Yeah. Hey, Fat Philosopher, take it easy, man. Thank you for tuning in. Got Fat Philosopher that's leaving here. How are we on time?
I was trying to look for the Rival Sons song. It's probably from Head Down.
Yeah.
Jordan, should it?
Jordan is a beautiful song. To me, Jordan, don't play it or we're gonna get demonetized. But if you, Jordan to me gives me goosebumps when I listen to that song.
But it's not this one. It's one even smoother than this one.
Even smoother than Jordan, yeah.
Yeah, it's an open tuning. I think it's from Open My Eyes, probably. Nope. Electric Man. No, this is Singles.
Anyways, if anybody doesn't know Rival Sons, definitely listen to them, especially if you're a Zeppelin fan, because they have the same kind of groove.
They have that inspiration, but then they have a different. I think they are Zeppelin, and the singer really reminds me of Jim Morrison.
Yeah, a little bit. That's true.
In a little way, it's not
as
sings
much.
Better. Way better singer than Jim Morrison.
Yes.
But he has that feeling that the termination of the lines, of the vocal lines, is not always like on the high note as Robert Plant.
Yeah.
So he is really incredible. I've seen the show and I was hoping to see Scott Holiday playing guitar. I'm a guitar player mainly. I also sing, but the singer steal the show.
Absolutely.
It's just like I couldn't get out of what he was doing, and he was not showing off. He was not doing an effort for it. It was just delivering the songs like, man, how can you sing like that? Exactly. And they use distortion in his vocals live, which makes it closer to the record and way more interesting sound-wise.
I'm disappointed that they're not more popular here in Canada. Like, they don't really come to Canada often. They're mostly in Europe, touring Europe a lot more.
Yeah, but even in Portugal, they had a room like 600 people room with 300 people, so it was not sold out.
No, but
it was in Lisbon, in the capital, so it should have been sold out, but.
They haven't. I mean, they're popular, but they're not like mainstream yet. It's they're trying, and hopefully they will become. But today, with everybody downloading music, it's kind of hard. You know,
they're a great rock band.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. So listen, we're at 2 hours and a half. I don't know. I think we're gonna have to wrap it up. I was intending to go to only 1 hour, but we actually got carried away. I think today, but it was. I think it was great. I love talking about this stuff, and I'm sure we can talk for another 3 hours if we wanted to. So maybe we'll leave that for another time, and we'll do it. Hopefully, we can do it again if you're available to do it again.
We can even do a more thematic live, like focused on one issue, because there's so much to talk.
Absolutely.
We could probably focus on
one thing,
one aspect, and then that. If you
I've never had the trouble of not having something to say, so I can talk a lot about a lot. You talk about one amp, I can talk about an amp for an hour. It's like not a big deal, but when you get with somebody who has similar interests and similar passions, it even becomes even more of a challenge to keep the shows short. So, maybe we can do a couple more shows now and then and keep it to an hour, and I'd be more than happy to have you on the channel as a guest again, because it's a lot of fun. So
great.
So I'll just look at if anybody has a couple of last questions, and then we'll wrap it up just to see what... I think most of the people kind of stopped asking questions today because we were doing most of the talking, but there's always some questions regarding different types of guitars and different things that people are interested in. I know somebody was talking about loving his Gretsch guitar, and
you're talking about the pedals that are in the circuit.
Yeah,
I now use live. I use the Boss ES system, so I have the 5 and the 8 depending on the board I'm using, because it takes off the pedals from the circuit. So sometimes I'm plugging straight to the amp due to the Boss, but I have all the abilities to switch in and out effects and I have a song presets, so I can really do my without tap dancing. And I'm singing, so I'm playing and singing, which is terrible. If you are always looking to the pedals and to try to,
it's a big distraction. Yeah. So Cool Tunes Made Easy has a question, I guess, for you. He says, do you ever use wireless systems when you're playing?
I used, but since I'm singing and playing, I need to be in the same spot. So there's no point of using wireless for me because I'm moving.
That's right.
That's why I love the coily cable.
Yep.
Because it's very small when you're there, but if you want to go over there, you can go easily, and then when you come back, it's small again. With normal cables, sometimes it's wrapped around the monitors,
that's true.
The bass player is tripping.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I don't have a coily cable because they're actually hard to find. Like in stores, there's not a lot of stores that carry them. You actually have to order them online most of the time. So, but eventually I'm gonna get one. And I had a question for you regarding fuzz, because I saw that you really do enjoy fuzz pedals, and I saw that you have there's one particular fuzz pedal, the 385, that I think you.
It's not really a fuzz. The 385. Yeah, it's not really.
It's in
fuzz.
between. It's in between.
All around. It's based on an amp that was built based on a film projector.
Yeah.
So they transformed it. So it's kind of that amp tone in a pedal. That's what they were trying to do. But since it has bass and treble going into the game, so not after the game, before the game, if you push the bass a lot, it gets into fuzzy territory because it puts a lot of bass into the gain stage.
Right.
So it makes it be flubby and farty sounding as a fuzz pedal.
Yeah.
So it can go that territory, but it's more of an amp in the pedal or an overdrive distortion.
Yeah, I'm not personally, I don't use fuzz a lot. I don't like necessarily fuzzes, but I do like pedals that can get a little bit fuzzy, but not necessarily only fuzzy. So that's the kind of thing that I like.
I think you need to know how to play fuzz. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It took me a lot of time to understand fuzz because we are used to pedals that you turn on and off and that's it. And a fuzz is not like that.
That's true.
You need to play into the fuzz. So depending on the quality of the fuzz, you have a lot of tones just with the guitar volume and the tone on your guitar and the pickups and the pedals. So I really, for example, I have the Russ Effects, which is a guy from Denmark, making the Copenhagen fuzz, which is a tone bender clone, but its own way with new old stock components. And it is my favorite tone bender till this day. And it is so good because you crank it up and it's a fuzzy, very distorted thing. But you put the guitar volume on 9 and you have a distortion. You put it on 7, you have an overdrive, and you can have a clean tone. You can do the whole gig with the pedal on and just controlling the guitar.
Volume. Yeah. Yep.
So it gives you a lot of textures. You just need to know how to play with those textures. It takes a while to get. It's not an easy pedal.
Yeah.
And it almost never sounds good with a clean amp.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's too harsh. The
high end.
It's brittle. If you play it through a twin reverb, you'll die.
Sound good. Yeah, I know. Yeah, something on the edge of breakup is better than
or a dark amp.
Yeah.
Or just use an overdrive, a light overdrive pedal after it.
Exactly.
Like a King of Tone or whatever.
Exactly.
No gain.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I mean, I'm just gonna tell the guys that are still watching, if you guys have any last questions, ask them now because we're gonna be wrapping it up soon. But just to get to your point, Budda, exactly. A lot of people still don't play with the volume enough. Like, this is one of the major controls of your sound right here, and a lot of people just put it full blast and leave it there, and that's it. And you can get so much variation in sounds just by learning how to play the volume.
So many other tones.
Yeah, yeah.
And for example, this guitar, I will try to show you. This guitar I'm building. I asked the guy. You won't see it.
Move it this way. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Yeah, now I see it. Okay.
So it has a lot of switches and it has phase inverters. It has 3 different treble bleeds on the volume. better. One is no treble bleed, and then two other values, because the treble bleed works great with some pedals, not as great. For example, in a fuzz face, you don't need treble bleed because it will get too bright. So it will be good to have this in this guitar. Like if I'm playing through the fuzz, I take off the treble bleed and I'm controlling the volume with no treble bleed. And the jam sessions I did, I organize every Wednesday. I forced myself to not use pedals. So I use amp and guitar and take all the tones with the guitar. So for example, with my Les Paul Special, it's a killer guitar for that because you use it until 5. It's a Telecaster. It's the same thing that happened with the Gibson, the Les Paul, the 59. And until the 5, it's a Telecaster. You move from the 5 on the volume, and it becomes a fat guitar, very bassy, very, very big. So it almost drives your overdrive into a fuzz territory because it's too bass.
Yeah.
But if you quiet the volume, it's a single coilish guitar.
There's so many different ways that you can get that sound. It's just experimenting with it, and at the end of the day, everything is a possibility. Everything is a tool. So just play around with the guitar. And if something doesn't sound good on your guitar, look at the caps, look at the your volume, look at the the whole mechanism. It's basically, a guitar is a mechanism. Everything's got to work together. So volume is just another aspect of that.
Pickup height is super important.
Heights. Yeah, exactly. We have
sometimes a few turns change your tone completely.
Night and day, exactly. So Cool Tunes Made Easy is asking if he wanted to know what we thought about Hughes and Kettner amps. I've never really played a Hughes and Kettner amp personally. I've
played a few. I really like it. They are German. I don't like the aesthetics usually. Because they are too flashy, too metalhead for me. So they have lights.
The lights, yeah.
Yeah, a little too flashy. But they are great. I really love it. They had a Statesman models. They were brown, and they were kind of Fendery, clean, Marshally,
subdued.
overdrive.
Yeah, more calm in terms of the looks. Yeah. He
They
says
are very firm sounding, so I really like it.
He says he has the Tubemeister 18 watts. That's the one he.
Yeah, it's one of their flagships. It's a great amp.
So I mean, there's so many different. I mean, it gets to the point where it's hard to keep up. I'm almost happy that there's no NAMM this year, no Summer NAMM, because every time Summer NAMM comes, there's 10 things that you want, and it's like here we go again, right? Just when you thought that you were happy with your gear, there's something else to entice you. So it's always a challenge, but I'm still going to be curious to see what they're going to come out with this year. So Budda, we're going to wrap it up. I wasn't intending to stay this long, and I appreciate your patience. And I appreciate everybody who tuned in today. I've got a lot of people that were online, but they were listening more than asking questions today. So I guess I hope it was an interesting show for everyone. And like I said, maybe next time we'll get together and we'll focus a little bit more on a specific topic and stay on the gear topic as opposed to going into different tangents. But it's all good. And I hope that we can get Budda on Addicted to Gear again so we can continue some of these interesting topics for everyone. In the meantime, if you guys didn't check out Budda's channel, I'm going to say it again. It's Dr. Guitar. So go and check it out on YouTube. He definitely has a lot of good stuff on his show, and also his band. So the Budda Power Blues Band. Definitely want to take a look at that as well. And that's it. That's all I have left to say for today. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. If anybody is new on the channel and you haven't subscribed, please give us all a thumbs up and subscribe, because we're going to be doing this quite often, and we both have great content coming your way. So if you're interested in gear and you're addicted like us, definitely you want to tune into to the shows regularly so that you can share that addiction. That's it.
Actually, the channel's name is my own name, Budda Guedes.
You don't use the Dr. Guitar anymore?
Yeah, I use it. It's the name of the show, but the channel
Is Budda.
it's my own name.
Okay, so it's
So
Buddaguedes, right? How do you pronounce the last name? Is
Guedes.
Guedes? Okay, all right. I was gonna butcher your last name.
It's usually Guedes.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, exactly. I knew it wasn't that though. I had a feeling that's not what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, in Portuguese, probably like in Italian, if you don't have a new after a G, it will become a J.
Okay.
It will be Jet.
Yeah, get it. I get it. So I'll remember that for next time. So we're looking forward to your content, Budda. And I also I really liked watching the video on the oil tank guitar, the oil can guitar that you had there.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's pretty cool. That was a cool guitar.
Made by a friend of mine.
Did it still smell of oil, or was it okay? Like it's not gonna catch on.
The can is from the 70s, so I guess it doesn't
okay.
have oil for a long time.
It's okay for now, but it's pretty cool. I gotta say, it's a pretty cool guitar, man. So, all right. Well, I really want to thank you very much, Budda, for participating in this. I really appreciate it, and promise me that you'll be back on the show.
Yeah, sure.
And
we have to reach it sometime, and you will also have to be on my channel, so we'll chat a little more.
Anytime, my pleasure. That would be an honor for me to share your more talk with you on your channel. I think it's great, and I'm always watching your stuff anyway. So I'm gonna wait for your cable comparison there, so I can hopefully.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to get more cables.
Hopefully, it will come through on the video, because sometimes little nuances.
I think it does. I think it really does. It's not that subtle as it should sound.
Well, I think with decent recording gear, we should be able to hear it anyway. But I'm curious to see.
Yeah, I'm also. I will have to test it and to figure it out if it works.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Budda. Thank you very much,
so much,
everybody, for tuning in for the show. And stay tuned here on Addicted to Gear. More stuff coming your way, guys. Have an excellent Sunday, and go kiss your mother. Take it easy for now.